lots of people came out of the woodwork to lie and gaslight people about it. They said that McCarthy could become speaker if the Democrats did what the Republicans just did. And I'm not saying just Cenk Uygur did that, or just a guy with an MSNBC contract, or it was David Sirota also did that on my show, even though people somehow and wrote an article that confused the issue. People give him credit for that. The squad pointed to his article. AOC pointed to his article of why they shouldn't force the vote and why they shouldn't get a Medicare for all vote. And so these are all these people coming out of the woodwork to run cover for the squad, and they're still doing it. A lot of the Jacobin magazine, they wrote a whole article about how what the right did, the left should learn from, without ever acknowledging that there was a whole group of lefty activists pointing this out 2 years ago, and they failed to do it on purpose. Ryan Grimm just interviewed Ro Khanna a couple days ago on Breaking Points. He asked Ro Khanna, what are you going to do in 2 years? Because you're going to probably have the same slim majority as the Republicans just did, as if it just occurred to them. He didn't say, why didn't you do it 2 years ago? And if you're going to do something in 2 more years in 2024, what's different then that was different 2 years ago? Of course, they don't ask that question, which is why the squad and Ro Khanna go on Breaking Points and Ryan Grimm's show, because they know they'll never be asked a tough question or a follow-up. So what was happening 2 years ago, still happening now. It's just happening on more shows. Now they invented another show, Breaking Points, so they can fucking bullshit you about what the squad was doing. And what they're pretending is that the squad had a different strategy besides what we wanted them to do. They didn't have any strategy. That's a lie. Just like when Nina Turner lied when she said that they had an inside game and it's a strategy. And she made that shit up. I'll never forget that. That rings in my head. It's called a strategy. So she was fucking shielding those people with a bullshit lie. And then those people turned around and stabbed Nina Turner in the front and endorsed her corporate opponent in her primary. And she still protects them to this day. So that's what's everybody wants to be part of at the table of the corporate table, and they want to be in the ends with the Democratic Party. Nobody has the guts to actually go against them. Certainly, we saw Bernie Sanders didn't. He never made them pay a price for cheating everybody and him in 2016. Never. He never made them change anything about it. They still take corporate money. They still have super delegates. They never changed anything. They never even acknowledged they cheated him. And so they'll never stand up to him. And now Bernie Sanders is doing everything he can to gaslight you into saying that Joe Biden.
Welcome to another sort of special edition of the Nick and CJ Show Fridays. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. What's up, Nick?
What's poppin'? My friends and family. Welcome to Nick and CJ Fridays. And that's such a great clip. And Savvy's conversation with Jimmy was great. It always fun talking to Jimmy. We had him on a few weeks ago where we was nailing how the squad and the progressives, the elected progressives, the people that think that is the U.S. left, they have led the left off a cliff, and they are gaslighting, and they are performing a very particular but also very corrupt role. Like people think like, oh well, Bernie and AOC and the progressives, they are at least the best we got, and you guys being too hard on them. They were trying. No. And that's what Jimmy was getting on as well. It's not that they're the best we have. It's not that they're trying. It's not like they have a plan, but the plan didn't work. No, their job is to make the left ineffectual in this country. You guys understand? This is why if you're a real leftist, if you're part of RBN, if you anti-war, your party, which is our party, is to call these people out. Their job is to be the Pramila Jayapals and be the dumb losers. And also, and I'll pass to CJ if you have any thoughts as well, their job is to keep and shift. I wouldn't say keep, shift the Overton window to the right. What I mean, what you saying the AOC and Bernie? That's their job. Yes. That meant you did a great breakdown of Ron Pacone on Status Quo and his co-host. I don't remember now. I think Tina. She was like, "You don't think AOC and the squad progressive at all?" And Ron basically fell. He was like, "Nah, what the fuck?" You're not, because their job is to come out like Ilhan Omar and say, "Oh, we can't defund the FBI." Defunding the FBI is not the left position. Voting for weapons and arming Nazis in Ukraine, that is the left position. Supporting
That's such a psyop.
Is the left position. Supporting the Capitol Police having more money is the left position. You guys see how they are more nefarious? how they're extremely nefarious. They're not only being ineffectual, they're here to shift what it means to be a socialist, shift what it means to be left of the Democratic Party, and then render anyone to their left as being the extremists who fall under horseshoe theory, who's not even worth listening to. Why do you think the squad don't come on our show? Why do you think the progressive professional managerial class, and not even just us, not victim complex, I know they do this to anyone who's, and not even just RBN, anyone who's left of them, they won't talk to. What, you guys think that you think that's a coincidence? No, they're here to sheepdog the Overton window. Like, I see through their game. They are as bad, or I will make the argument personally. I don't expect everyone to agree with me. I will make the argument that they're worse than Joe Manchin. I come at it with them with the energy that I will come at Joe Manchin. Because Joe Manchin has his role. Bernie Sanders, AOC, and squad have their role, and they're playing it. I won't say playing it to perfection, but AOC is one of the most popular politicians in America. But maybe that's by design.
But
right?
this goes to what people always, not always, but some people, the drive-byers, the people that just see our stuff and drive by and kind of make comments and then bail out. They don't really watch us, don't understand why. Me in particular, I feel like this is my leading role, is to attack the white moderate, and I feel like the progressive whole strategy is that white moderate, and this is why I feel like we have to go out now. Just imagine, Nick. Just imagine I'm the progressive strategy. I'm like, if I'm a person, I'm walking down the street. It's one lane. I know where I'm going. La 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 la. You know what I mean? I'm the only one with the bullhorn. Hey guys, this way, Democrats. Come on, guys. You know what I mean? That's the progressive strategy.
Yep.
But up comes this RBN gopher out the ground.
Yep.
And says, hey everybody, we're at the side of the road building a dirt paved road to say it's time to let some of these people out this motherfucker. And we're trying. We're trying. And I absolutely feel like we were never part of the strategy of like, what about pushback we're going to get?
Yeah, we don't
strategy. We were like, RBN was never part of them coming up with, okay, what should we do? Because there is none. If we were a group of 5 leftists that were white, would not have the same sort of hit. Now, if we were 5 black, just progressives and not socialist communists, wouldn't hit that hard.
Yeah.
The fact that the place that we're in, Nick, makes it so crucial to what's at this time. Like, we are so perfectly timed because the strategy has been exposed. But before, when strategies got exposed, Nick, there was no way to get off the road. There's no way to get off the road here. You get what I'm saying? And RBN said, no. Along with comrades like Convo Couch, Jimmy Dore, the people that we hang with, Comrade Misty. All of us are creating little pathways to say there's no more of this outrageous behavior that the progressive managerial class wants us to go through. No more.
Yeah. We was there when there was, and now we know why we got so much pushback at the time, because we was there when there was whispers of the left coordinating Marianne Williamson as the Democratic candidate, and then while all the progressive media, you had TYT, the Majority Report, all these people that go along with it, we saw that shit. We was like, hell to the no. And before the new wave of anti-establishment media, they would have got away with this, CJ. In 2016, they definitely would have got away with this bullshit. Like, Marianne Williamson, 2024, that's a great idea. Because there was no checks on these people. It was one big club, and you're not in it. Isn't it funny how independent media became that? So then we came out here like, you motherfuckers out your goddamn mind. But honestly, y'all had someone at the door. I'll be right back. Give me like
go ahead. Let me and I'll put that super chat back up so I can read it, and then we'll get back to that. Last time somebody was at his door, it was the police, believe it or not. So let's hope that's not that. Like, literally, that time it happened once before where he answered the door during the stream. He came back. He was like, "Oh, that was the police at my door." All right, so let's read this one. My last 3 super chats were overlooked. I was trying to say that there is this artificial intelligence bot called Chat GPS that gives awesome information, opinions, and advice, and I really want RBN to use it. So, Radical Leftist, I recall me myself reading two super chats from you. They weren't overlooked, and we're reading them now. We're simply not interested. That's what you're getting, and we're not trying to be rude. That's the reason why we just didn't, move on. We read your super chat and we moved on. But if you would like us to say so that feel acknowledged, we're not interested. So, let's get back to the video because we can just finish out a couple of minutes. It's only 2 minutes and 35 seconds of this for the intro here, Nick, and then we can get into one of the stories, which is actually very short. So let's listen to a little more of this great conversation. And of course, we're not going to listen to all of it because we want everybody to go over to Savvy's channel and give her the views. So, but we'll just watch a snippet right here in the beginning because just like he was on our show, Nick, we asked him a question and he just goes off. Like he could just talk, and that's why I love having Jimmy Dore on. I just like to ask a question when we have a guest and let the guests talk, and that's exactly what he did. So
last time we had him on a few weeks ago. We was like, "Hey, what's up, Jimmy? Welcome to RBN." This motherfucker went on a 7-minute
like he's up here.
And see, I was like, I'm about to throw the script on. And I went on for that. That's why, like, people like Jimmy, and I got Max Blumenthal is scheduled for Wednesday. Like, people like that, they're extremely easy to prepare for because they always got a lot to say on these topics. There's some guests, obviously, we're not going to say. You kind of feel it too. There's some guests you got to kind of carry to the finish line. You never had to carry people like Jimmy and Max, but
no, never. Margaret also.
Yeah, she's great.
She's a talker. Aaron's a talker. I remember I had both of them together at one of the summits we had them, and that was just amazing. I felt almost starstruck to have both of them at the same time. Like I can handle one, but both. But anyway, let's listen to a little more just in his first rant. Like this is all in the first rant that we're gonna get all these good tidbits, but I'm gonna just rewind it a little bit so that if we wanted to comment on some of it, we can from the intro.
Do it on purpose. Ryan Grimm just interviewed Ro Khanna a couple days ago on Breaking Points. He asked Ro Khanna, what are you going to do in 2 years? Because you're going to probably have the same slim majority as the Republicans just did, as if it just occurred to them. He didn't say, why didn't you do it 2 years ago? And if you're going to do something in 2 more years in 2024, what's different then that was different 2 years?
Because Ryan Grimm, Nick, is there to coddle these people and make them look good in front of non-establishment left audiences, so those audiences stay engaged. So he'll never ask those types of questions that's going to disengage the audience from the progressive narrative. Just astonishing. So, but let's play a little more of Jimmy here.
Years ago. Of course, they don't ask that question, which is why the Squad and Ro Khanna go on Breaking Points and Ryan Grimm's show, because they know they'll never be asked a tough question or a follow-up. So what was happening 2 years ago, still happening now. It's just happening on more shows. Now they invented another show, Breaking Points, so they can fucking bullshit you about what the Squad was doing. And what they're pretending is that the Squad had a different strategy besides what we wanted them to do. They didn't have any strategy. That's a lie. Just like when Nina Turner lied when she said that they had an inside game and it's a strategy, and she made that shit up. I'll never.
She's not gonna live that down. She's not gonna live that. That
never.
snippet of, have you ever heard of strategy?
Don't forget that. That rings in my head. It's called a strategy. So she was fucking shielding those people with a bullshit lie. And then those people turned around and stabbed Nina Turner in the front and endorsed her corporate opponent in her primary. And she still protects them to this day. So
amazing.
That's what's amazing. Everybody wants to be part of at the table of the corporate table, and they want to be in the ends with the Democratic Party. Nobody has the guts to actually go against them. Certainly we saw Bernie Sanders didn't. He never made them pay a price for cheating everybody and him in 2016. Never. He never made them change anything about it. They still take corporate money. They still have super delegates. They never changed anything. They never even acknowledged they cheated him. And so they'll never stand up to him. And now Bernie Sanders is doing everything he can to gaslight you into saying that Joe Biden is FDR and he's a good guy and you should support war in Ukraine. They're all war pigs too. So what it revealed, what Force the Vote did was reveal that there is no left in America. And I recently saw someone smarter than me talking about this. And he was saying that the left in America is unlike the left anywhere else in the world. The left and the rest of the world is connected to the workers. The left in America is connected to the fucking middle class bullshitters.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Why do you think it was one of my main priorities? Like literally from day one when we started the show, when I had the International Leftist Coalition program. What did I tell you guys like the first year of this show? I was like, guys, the international left shits on the US left in every way possible. So we need to learn from them. We need to reject these phony DSA clowns and learn what socialists are doing in South America. Look at what the communists in Eastern Asia are doing. We need to start paying attention to what the left look like in Ireland, in France. Instead of listening to Bernie fucking Sanders, who Lula makes look like Ronald Reagan. So this is such a great point by Jimmy, because this is the point I was driving home hard. Like I'm done with the US left. We need to imitate the successful communist revolution like the Black Panthers, look across the sea as well. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, now this part by Jimmy, let's kind of zero in. Where am I at? I want to make sure I don't go too far. This thing is real touchy. Okay.
To the workers. The left in America is connected to the fucking middle class bullshitters who care more about gender identity than they do about Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, and fucking strong unions. That's what the middle class. So he made such a great. He says even if you're of color and you're on the left in America, you're probably in the middle class, and what you're going to worry about is how many seats on the board do people of color have instead of Medicare for all, unions, $15 minimum wage, and all kinds of stuff like that.
So
he just called out Tim Black and Ben Dixon right there. That's Tim Black. Remember Tim Black was rooting for Nina Turner, and he was so upset because we was criticizing Nina Turner and trying to start a beef with us, and then Rome destroyed him. Like that, he literally just described Tim Black and Ben Dixon at the end there. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, no. So what I was gonna say is, what Jimmy is saying here sounds eerily similar to this video, and I'm hoping this is where he got it from, because he was like, I'm not sure where I saw this from, but it sounds eerily similar to this video here, where Vivek says or talks about the middle class. Now listen, it's like 5 points that Jimmy makes are in this video.
Now, the liberalism that you talk about, Michael, when you say there's a lot of liberalism within the left today, I would not call it that. So the identitarian stuff that you talk about, the narrowness, that is not an ideological hangover of liberalism. That is a very, very active set of people pushing their material interests. Right. The left in the United States is fundamentally and overwhelmingly a middle class formation.
This is what Jimmy was talking about.
It's the first left globally, historically, that has no connection to the working class, to the poor at all. People complain that the left is white. Bullshit. That's a second. The left has those non-whites who are in the American left are all middle class too. It's disproportionately white, but it's all middle class.
That's another point Jimmy just made about that, even black people who are middle class. So I think Jimmy may have seen this video and just doesn't recall.
In that setting, when you're only bringing in middle class people into your organization,
and look at the example he gives. Very similar to Jimmy.
Hear about the economy. What we want to know is when we walk into a room, why are we not treated well? When
that's DSA in a nutshell, man. Like what you described is literally DSA. Like I know people. I kept distance from them. They rubbed me the wrong way. Like they are shoddy. Like listen to Kid from Harlem when he talk about his experience reaching out to Chicago DSA. I heard a ton of people who say the same thing. That's exactly who he's calling out. Middle class, bourgeoisie people who care more about you not making any audible noise that distracts or
remember that video.
Yeah, it's literally the most cringe shit, and that's the only thing they care about because their belly is full, their gas tank is filled, they got health care.
Yeah.
So they quick to cancel anti-war socialists because they said one bad post on social media like a few years ago, right? Because they care more about morality, they care more about having the prestige of high society, right? But they're not really here to fight the establishment by all means necessary. These are the people who also complain about, oh my God, Donald Trump stole secret documents in the White House. You know, like I told you guys when I covered this yesterday, like I don't care. I thought it was funny that Democrats are caught doing the same thing. These same people who were up in arms about January 6th, Russiagate, they care about everything that had nothing to do with material needs. I know this. But go ahead, CJ.
No, that's a great point. And let's finish off this here, and we can move to announcements. This is really just the beginning here.
So that's why the left, and there is no left. And by the way, where are the fucking nurses organizations been in this pandemic? Not one peep about Medicare for all, which would have saved hundreds of thousands of lives if you really care. And not one peep about it during this pandemic. They didn't even bring up the public option, which Joe Biden used to get their support to run on. They're non-existent. So again, this like the leadership, and it also revealed, Force the Vote revealed that the leadership of lefty organizations are compromised and controlled and not really there to fight for you, like the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. A lot of people.
That's so weird how there's a lot of us that use the DSA, Jacobin, that type. We all have identified the issue that the left is overwhelmingly middle class, and they're not fighting for working class or poor issues. Go ahead, Nick.
And the reason why DSA is called out, and they should be called out, is because a lot of people don't realize, like, DSA numbers exploded. Like 90% of the people who joined DSA joined post 2017. So DSA may or may not start legit. I didn't follow them too early, like in the early days, to be clear. But whatever DSA was pre 2016, they are not anymore. That's what they're, because so Bernie Sanders blew up the idea of being Democrat socialist. So a bunch of middle class liberals, latte liberals, thought they were like, "Oh shit, I like Bernie Sanders." So I think I'm a Democrat socialist now. So they joined DSA, and DSA been absolutely shit for at least.
You know how they were able to do that? It's because Bernie Sanders didn't define socialists or democratic socialists through theory.
Absolutely.
He just said, I'm a democratic socialism, or a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like there was no theory with the introducing that word. Yeah,
I'll tell you guys, I didn't know that much about DSA. So I see a lot of people say DSA was all trash.
Well, that was a Marxist. That person was a Marxist. So the history of the DSA, if you want to say they were a little bit better or a lot worse, the history of the DSA, they were created as a way of staving off more just straight socialists and communists. You have this other lane, people who are socialist-like, who don't want to do anything with capitalism, basically. So that's kind of how the lane they've been. I've read many articles from the World Socialist website where they talk about, I'm reading articles. Oh yeah, in 1953, the DSA, when they were known over a slightly different name, did this. They've always been a war party. They've always been pushing for war under the guise of being left. So this is a history that person may be speaking to.
So I just want to read this comment. I'll pass back to you. I think I see two good ones. The founder of DSA, Michael Harrington, wouldn't condemn the Vietnam War. So back then, it's the same thing, right? You had the DSA that was cheering for war, refusing to condemn it. Meanwhile, MLK and the Black left and the Black Panthers were strongly against it. Isn't that the same thing that happening right now? With RBN and ton of Black leftists speaking out against the Ukraine war. Meanwhile, the DSA left is all for it. Things don't change that much, doesn't it? And one more for Zayden. DSA was specifically formed to oppose Marxism. Look up Michael Harrington. And I explained the same concept actually before as well, how social democratic socialism. Where are those books, CJ? Where are the 1900s, 1910s, 1920 version of Karl Marx? So some guy who sat down like, I'm going to explain to you guys the critique I have of capitalism and how we implement democratic socialism. Hey, hint, guys, that shit doesn't exist. It was some bullshit that some Western Americans made up, which there's heavy evidence they were infiltrated by intelligence communities who wanted to have a more suitable left. They don't want the communists who got workers their benefits and the workers' rights in the 34. So they're like, all right, let's come water it down. Let's say if you're you can't go too tanky. You can't, that when they invented the term tanky, saying, oh well, you apologize for the USSR. You're sympathetic to their system. So that's a good point. I ran on that before. That's
and the thing is, think about the fiction of American history and how they literally omit just large chunks of information. And speaking to that point, what was that person's comment again? Because I wanted to exactly Zayden. Can you put?
I'll see if I can find
Zayden.
it.
Yeah,
here it is.
Yeah, and the reason because this speaks specifically to what I was saying, how they were literally created to stave off communists. And the other point I wanted to chime in is that with American history, so I'm tying these together. That's the reason why I wanted it on the screen. American history, think about it, Nick. I was never told that there were communists and socialists ever elected in office back in the day. I was never told that. I never learned that in history whatsoever. And now come to find out, once I'm adult, I'm like, what? There was lots of freaking socialists and communists elected, and they were the ones who pushed for a lot of these labor laws. They were the ones who pushed this, and I was like, that's completely gone from history magically.
Why you guys think that there was that communist scare? And they just straight up lied. It was like, well, the communist scare was here for no reason. No, that shit existed because McCarthy and the people want to go after the communist parties and any politician who wanted to infiltrate Washington. That shit wasn't a hoax. That shit was real. That shit was real. Right. And then they straight up, like you said, CJ, that's such a good point. They straight up lied to us. And McCarthy is a psychopath, right? But they try to say that he just completely made up. No, there was communists here, and then capitalists did everything they can to purge him, and he was successful. They were mad at him because he went after some people who was capitalists and some of his political enemies, so he went too far. But the system in general was going after communists. Like, people were losing their jobs. People were being blacklisted. It was a big thing to purge being a communist from a society. Richard Wolff talked about this a lot. Like, even when he was on the 60s, where when you were in economics, there was a heavy pressure to not even look into Marxism. And anyone who did was blacklisted from academia. They wouldn't get internships. Like, there's so many things that they did to curve out real leftist thoughts. Like, look at what they did to Black Panther, the most successful communist organization in American history. They had to infiltrate it and destroy it with feds. Like, capitalism can't defeat communism on the merits, so they had to wage office like they did in our country and like they did in South America.
That's exactly what the CIA, and they know this is people think capitalists don't know all the critiques. Yes. Capitalists know they know Marx up and down. That's like part of being a real capitalist. You need to understand the most effective critique and how we're going to attack it. And they know Marx up and down, sir. So they know that. So they know the signs. This is why
they read Marx for the first time. They read like, they got scared like a motherfucker. They're like, holy shit! All right, anyone who read this shit, we gotta kill them. They're like, right.
They're still doing it. They're still doing it. Like, I just was reading how they killed some communists or Marxists in Africa, and I saw the picture on Twitter. Like, they're still doing it, and this is the whole reason for the CIA, Nick. This is the whole reason to squash socialism, communism, and bring capitalism here. That's the whole reason they can't do it on its merits, because they know the vast majority of people aren't benefiting from capitalism. So you can go ahead and read that comment. Go ahead, sir.
From the game Social Security. Literally every worker benefit that you guys have, that the Reagan night capitalists scaled back, and now the new era of right-wing capitalist politics are scaling back even more. Social Security, all this shit was pushed by communists. And these are history seeds. I told you, I went on the history binge. I explained this many times. I was into history before I got into politics. In my early 20s, I watched a ton of history documentaries. I started reading a lot more. They're like, holy shit. Everything they told us was a lie. And then that began the path to the guy you guys see now. Well, like, okay, everything about capitalism is bullshit. The entire U.S. hegemony, Western chauvinist ideology is bullshit. That's CJ, I'll pass to you guys. We 30 minutes in, so we can get to some.
So we're gonna go ahead and get to. So make sure you go and watch that full interview on the Sabby Sab channel. So she did it last night. If you're looking for the date, so it should be like the video that's right below her upcoming video tonight, because she is going live tonight. Talk about Matt Taibbi. I know that's in the title, and some other things. So let's get to some announcements. We are at 388 people watching. Like this video, if you will, pretty please. That'll get a lot more people into the chat. We have 151 like. We could literally double that and still have cushion. So could we do that? Could we get 150 more of you to hit that like button? And as you're hitting the like button, let's talk about the website. You see the link there. Let's pull up our website right here. So you can go check out the website. You see the URL, our latest video update. So that is the latest video that was updated or uploaded today, that premiered today. You can see things like all of our summits all in one place. You just click on it to see the individual videos for whatever summit you want. Media, you can see some of our more popular, I guess you could say, videos of more like, guests that we really respect, like a Max Blumenthal you may see up here, like a Abby Martin, like a Brianna Joy Gray, like a Margaret Kimberly, so on. So you can check out our website. You can check out the members. Go to each of our links. If you click on Sabby, for example, she has links to visit her directly. So check out the RBN website. The other thing is, throw out our old email. No longer using that Gmail account. Here's our new email: info@revblacknetwork.com. Now, I must say, we don't have the capacity to respond to sort of conversational emails. Like we don't have that capacity. So we're letting everybody know our emails, like, oh, I want to volunteer. Oh, I want to be a part of the launching of the local chapters. Oh, but if you just want to chat, those emails are very hard to get to. So I'm just letting everybody know that. And the final thing is, join our Substack. Join our Substack if you would like links to our Discord, or if you would like to get notifications of when we go live. Like, this stream is sort of unannounced. We don't always go live on Fridays. Sometimes Fridays we take off sometimes, and then we may come back on a Saturday. But today we decided to come on.
We was talking a little bit before. I was planning on to, but I literally got all these stories I didn't cover. Like, there's so much shit that's going on, and we do long, like, very detailed streams. I still be having stuff we had to cover. So luckily we both had the fill today. So anyway, back to you.
Yeah. So this is a quicker story because the interview she did with him is very short, and we only covered maybe half of that. So you tell me if you can spot anything that sounds familiar before I point it out, because I'm not going to point it out.
I haven't seen it yet at all, so I'm going.
Yeah, so that's well. So it's going cold. So it's good that you have, and I have seen it. So we're going to have that discussion. So let's listen to this. And I think this is yesterday or maybe a couple of days ago. I could be wrong.
My delight and my pleasure to bring to you on Unbossed. This is the first time, it won't be the last time, the one and only David Sirota, who I fondly just call Sirota. Sirota, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Good. No, it's so good to have you on the show. And just in case there may be somebody out there who might not know who you are, I got to read some of your bona fides. I know you don't like this kind of stuff, but I just got to do it. You are an award-winning journalist and best-selling author. You live in Denver, Colorado. You were nominated. I was so excited for you. Nominated for an Academy Award for your work in partnership with Adam McKay when you guys created the story for the Block.
Is that anything the working class cares about?
Bragging about his resume.
Like,
I mean,
this literally is a PMC thing. Like, other PMCs, they're like, yeah, he get it. They're all like, yeah. We're like, get to the shit, man.
Dude, that's
Don't
when
give a fuck
this
about
whole thing with
Go
David
ahead.
Sirota winning the Oscar was making me cringe so hard because everyone was like, "Oh my god, David Sirota won the Oscar!" And like all the lefties, I saw Crystal give him a shout out. You see Nina, they all love him for that. I'm like, why would we give a fuck? I don't care about award shows. No one cares about, like, no one even knew the Golden Globes was a thing yesterday, like the other day. No one gives
That's
a shit.
true.
It's only in the professional managerial class. They're like, "Hey guys, you know David Sirota won the Oscar, guys? He won the Oscar, nigga. No one cares. Literally no one." But go ahead, CJ.
Except for his friends in media
Yeah.
who use that as a thing, like, to them, because it is a thing to the professional managerial class. So I love you guys. When I get rich, you'll be in money. I thought at first, when I first glanced at that, you'll be in my ass, because I thought he was pairing rich with us going after rich
I was
people.
like, man, I'm not that easy. I'm not that easy to buy, buddy.
That's Super Seamster Sewing Show. So thank you for the super chat. All right, so let's continue with this short video clip here.
Blockbuster film, Don't Look Up, which I must admit, I done lost count, Sirota, how many times I have watched that movie, because not only does it deal with, climate chaos, I mean, that's the major theme of the movie, but we can take out climate chaos and insert any other thing that's happening in the body politic today, and Don't Look Up is very fitting. I am so proud of you, so happy for you and Adam McKay. That is a riveting movie, and if you all have not seen it, you need to see it, baby. It will rock your world and change your life, and the ending especially really mess with me.
I literally have people like CJ. I'll be real quick. I want the video keep playing, but there have been a few people that say, "You ever seen that Get Out movie that they?" I'm like, no. Why the fuck would I watch that? Like, why would you like?
Same way. I'm like, I haven't seen it yet either. Come here.
But anyway, I'm not judging anyone who has. If you did, but anyway, let's continue the video.
All right, so here is Nina.
It kept me up at night because you guys didn't play around with that ending. You made it true to form, and that did something for me and so many other people that I talked to about this. You are the founder and editor of The Lever, an editor at large for Jacobin magazine, and a columnist for The Guardian magazine. And
editor at large for Jacobin, and he has a high position at The Guardian. Wonder if their news reporting could be a little soft on the squad. I wonder if their news reporting can be a little soft on progressive Democrats. And I say, yes. Jacobin, that is something, maybe I didn't pay attention to him being the editor at large for Jacobin, but that clears up so much of
and the
what
Guardian too. The
Jacobin
Guardian
is about.
Shit, dude. The Guardian.
Yeah.
I don't know what work he did in the Guardian, so I'll be careful here. But the Guardian in general, I'll just say that it's shit. It's one of the things. The Guardian, I use it a lot in my sources and my stories because I also want to show you guys like this. Even when they talk about something good, they're always some establishment bullshit in it, and that's what they do. Like every once in a while they have a less sounding story, but some Democrat bullshit sprinkled in. It's so obvious what they do.
You know what? And you know who uses the Guardian a lot in their reporting? White left media. They use a lot of Guardian and Common Dreams.
Yep.
Like you see how they're all like sort of creating the narrative of the squad being good. If you got a journalist over there and you got that and y'all teaming up over here like Breaking Points, it's like it's all to create a notion. You got somebody writing it in print, somebody who's also streaming about it. Like it's all to create the same fiction. And he's over the editor of Jacobin magazine. He's doing The Lever. He's over at Breaking Points. Look how many things he's affecting. Just ridiculous. Anyway,
I'll pass to you after I read this comment. He said, I heard the Guardian changed massively after they was raided after the Snowden links. Yeah, and I didn't follow the Guardian pre-Snowden links. I already know. I know what they are now. Always repeat fucking bullshit propaganda. But anyway, go ahead, CJ.
And of course, you and I have been knowing one another for a very long time, but we rocked and rolled all over this country on behalf of who I believe should have been the president in this moment, and that's Senator Bernard Sanders. You have years and years of service with the senator in the Congress, but coming out and being his speechwriter during the 2020 campaign, having you.
Do you guys have any idea? Do you guys have any idea how much money David Sirota made? Sabby broke this down. These things are this man made like $10,000 per month at least. This man made 100,000 plus working on the Bernie Sanders campaign. How the fuck is that service? The fuck you talking about? Nigga, he got paid a ton of fucking money to do this
$10,000
thing.
in that
How's
service.
Like, I don't know. Like Savvy did a great breakdown. I'm talking about hundreds, $100,000 plus he had made on the last campaign. But that's service. What the fuck? I'll slow down South Carolina. I quit my job, cut my income by like 4th to work on the Bernie campaign. Right? How many Bernie organizers are making $100,000 a year? Not many. Why aren't they propped up? I know a lot of hardworking people that I met in South Carolina and Iowa who wasn't making a goddamn thing. But David Sirota, his service, right? But go ahead, let's continue.
It's comical in my opinion. So let's listen.
Side by side with me a lot, and just on the front lines of the battlefield means a lot. And now you're taking your skill and your ability to another level with the lever. And so glad that you're doing that, really. And I know
You forgot to mention my best credential.
what.
My best credential is being the spouse of State Representative Emily Sirota. That's my best credential.
Hmm.
I wonder why he's now saying that. Go ahead.
I don't know, man. If I was David Sirota, and this is me talking, I would try to do everything I can to avoid mentioning I'm married to a Democrat. That's just me, because I was exposed to conflict of interest that we talk about on the show all the time.
I actually think that could be a reason why he's deciding now to say it, because he's getting all the backlash.
Yeah.
You're married to one. Why are you trying to pretend?
Point.
And we kind of started that ball rolling. We kind of started that ball rolling because remember the video of when I'm like, what do you mean? You're fucking a. Remember that video?
Yeah, and,
like,
and one of our, that's such a good point, CJ, because one of our criticism was like, how many people know this? When he come out and tell you to vote Democrat,
yes,
so he does this bullshit analysis that always sounds weak. Where he always in conclusion votes Democrat. We all vote for Joe Biden because this reason. Oh my God, the people think the third party is a viable right. You guys are idiots. He does that without his audience or people knowing that he's married to a goddamn Democrat, right? So now after hearing that criticism I had. Now he just come out and say, I didn't even think about it like that until you mentioned that, CJ. That's a good point. So now he's like, shit, I gotta be honest about that shit now. But go ahead.
Best credential. See, that's a man who knows. Go on and shout out Representative Sirota. Yes, and give her my best. I know she's doing her thing in the legislature right now as we speak. That is the best credential. And a dad, too.
Yeah, that's also one of my that also is my best credential. You're right.
Yeah,
Bro, how long
on that? Mine too, being a mama.
How long is this video? I can't see because the banner only. I'll take the banner down.
I think the interview is like 12 minutes or something.
How long
minutes?
is it?
Not
how long.
The whole video, the whole stream is like an hour.
When did he join?
Just his interview is like 12 minutes. Go ahead.
Because 5 minutes in, this is absolutely not like what are they talking about for the last 5 minutes? Like no, like what did it start like 45? Like I think it's been 5 minutes. Like it feels like this should have been going forever. When did she first? She started that. That's the long introduction.
Man, yeah. Oh wow. Oh,
look at how long this is.
Oh wow. Yeah, you're right. I didn't know. I thought you was exaggerating. No, it is. It's like it's right. 46. You said 45, but it's 46.
So yeah, almost 5 minutes. About 4 minutes in. Haven't said a goddamn thing. Haven't said a goddamn thing. But go ahead, let's continue. I was just curious.
It's my absolute best credential and grandmother now. I know some folks can't believe that I'm a yaya, but I am all of that. I am. So now, Sirota, I want to just pick your brain about, you have written several articles, you and your team, and let me shout out the team at the Lever too. You have
here
some
we go.
extraordinary.
Listen, this is the part I wanted. This is the part that pertains to the title. So here is the rest of it here.
Writers and on Boss, we're going to have them on too to interview them, and that was very important to you because you like to make sure that they get the shine that they deserve for the work, because it does take teamwork, and you all are doing a great service. So you and your team have written several articles about the dysfunction going on within the United States Department of Transportation, and even though there's some haters out there against you, against me, I mean, we get it all the time. the journalism that you are putting out about the dysfunction in this department and why it shouldn't be this way and it didn't have to be this way, especially with regards to what happened with Southwest Airline and then what just happened, just a day ago or so with the FAA. Why do you think it is important to expose?
So that hater comment that you heard, go ahead.
Yeah, I heard that. So she said the hate that we both get. Now, if you look on Twitter, Nina does get a lot of hate from the right. Like I see a lot of right wingers go after her. I could be out of pocket here, but I never see that with David Sirota. Right? Have you guys seen a right wing mob go after David Sirota? I haven't seen it. So when they say haters, who are they talking about? How many people were criticizing David Sirota before we did? CJ, we talked about this before. They definitely saw those fucking streams.
Yeah, so let me actually show you the video, and because you got to understand the timing of this. So there's this video. Let me share, and I guess I can scroll down. So I'm not gonna play the video. I'm gonna show you the title and everything, and then you tell me if there's a connection here. This video right here. Can you see that? It says using journalism to sell lies and cover for the Democratic Party. Whose face is that? If you could see, let me blow it up. Whose face is that right here this is even better. I blew it up bigger so we can just zero in on it. So I think you see him?
Yeah, I see him.
That's David Sirota. So you think that could have tipped off something for that? Why Nina Turner would say something like this? Now, this is not the only reference that she makes. Go ahead, Nick.
Also, remember, if you search me and David Sirota, you can search who replied to who. I barely ever engaged with this guy, especially around this time. Like, never ever engaged with the guy. You did your video. Well, I don't think I was even part of it. Then he did not only did he block you, he blocked everybody on RBN. So that means in order for him to do that, he had to click our RBN Twitter account and then scroll by every single fucking name. So not only did he block CJ, who was leading the criticism of that he blocked everybody. And I was like, the fuck, I never even tweeted about this fucking guy. So he definitely sees the criticism that come from the RBN left. Nina definitely seeing the criticism that comes from the RBN left. So you would think that they will be spending this time talking about the criticism that they get from the right. Like Nina she get attacked by the right wing all the time on Twitter. But no, look at who they reference. They are uncomfortable with criticism that comes from the left, right? The red-blue game, right wing going after them, not a big deal because it's just a game. It's a political game show. But when you have someone to your left criticizing you, woo! Remember, these people, they view leftism as morality, not as material. Yes. So I am left because I am moral. So when people criticize them from the left, they don't know how to deal with it. So they melt down and they start blocking people. Right? But anyway, let's continue.
Yeah, now, so I skip back a little bit because I want to just make sure I didn't skip this part because she talks more in defending him a little more than just those few words you saw there, and I'm trying to make sure I didn't, because I may have not rewinded all the way to the beginning
of the show. But I got to remind you, the MLK special, they called him radical.com/live. You can tune in. Big Pharma putting all our lives at risk because all they care about is the bottom line. That is so true, Dr. Lee. And the federal government is complicit in this because they don't have to allow these big pharmaceutical companies to get away with this. It is the owner donors who appear to have all of the control. We got to elect different types of people who don't sell out to owner donors. And on YouTube Super Chat, Marquise, if Bernie runs in take out climate chaos and for the blockbuster, I gotta read some of your bona fides. I know this does not, but 2024 with Biden stepping down, I legit feel like he would win. Right, I don't see any other corporate Dems beating Bernie nationwide. Well, Marquise, that might be true, but my next guest, we know firsthand what the neoliberals will do.
Okay, I did miss some of it. Go ahead.
Did they say they think Bernie will win in 2024? Was that what the question was?
That's what the question of the person she was reading. Yeah, so she was reading a comment, a question that was submitted. I think she said from YouTube was the last one. And yes, and that was the question.
Man, it's just like that video you did about Ron Pacone getting pushed back from status quo because he criticized the squad. Look at how Nina Turner and TYT got their audience groomed. They want to do it again. $100 million down the drain.
Down the drain.
Like, that's not going to mutual aid. That's not going to our communities. It's going to David Stroh's salary. The salary of people like Matt Duss. You put that all that money went to people like Matt Duss, Bernie Sanders,
oh my Lord,
and their advisors. And people on TYT who watch TYT, they want to do it again. They want to do it again. Unbelievable. Like,
unserious.
They are considered on the left. They consider on the left, but we are farther from each other in terms of the Overton window as the ocean is wide. You know what I mean? The TYT left, the RBN left, as far as the difference as you can find. That's how fucked up the U.S. left is now. But go ahead, CJ.
To try to stop a progressive. They did it in 2020 when they united all of their forces to try to stop our campaign. But I hear you. I hear where you're going, Marquise. Well, it is absolutely my delight and my pleasure to bring to you on Unbossed. This is the first time. It won't be the last time. The one and only David Sirota, who I fondly just call Sirota. Sirota, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Good. No, it's so good to have you on the show. And just in case there may be somebody out there who might not know who you are.
Okay, so maybe I didn't miss it.
I know this does not, you don't like this kind of stuff, but I just got to do it. You are an award-winning journalist and best-selling author. You live in Denver, Colorado. You were nominated. I was so excited.
Yeah, okay, so maybe I didn't miss it. And there is a shorter video. I'm not going to go through it. There is a shorter video, and that must have been the one that kind of zeroed in the other comment. But I don't want to play too much of her content, because I don't know if she's going to allow it. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there and pass it to you after I do a couple of announcements. Go ahead.
Yeah. You go ahead and do the announcement. I got to start out for which one I'm gonna do first. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you need more time, I can do.
I'm good. I'm just gonna pick. Yeah, it's about me picking.
All right, so
I'll be right.
Yeah, you can pull that up. You can pull that up. So let's let me just make sure here. Did not miss something here. Let's hear the ending.
Need to do. If Pete Buttigieg knows that Democratic attorney.
Okay, so yeah, I must have missed
big pharmaceutical companies to get away with this. It is the owner donors who appear to have all of the control. We got to elect different types of people.
All right, everybody. This segment is over. So what we're going to do is do a couple of shout outs here and then get into the next segment. So actually, I didn't do this in the beginning, and I should have done this. So as Nick is preparing for that, this is the thumbnail. We went over the Jimmy Dore Savvy story. We still got an AOC story in the video on Instagram, and the story and the video actually go together. So we're just covered the David Sirota and Nina Turner. Now, a couple of other stories. Nick is setting up one of those stories. But another story we're going to be covering is Crystal Ball admits new squad members won't do much. So there's actually a video with her and David Sirota. She went on David Sirota show, and she pretty much says, nah, I don't see much changing. So we'll quickly watch that video. And if we have time, we'll cover the Fed chair. It's an article called Fed Chair Defends the Dictatorship of Capital on World Socialist website. If we have time, we'll get to that also. So I pass it to you, Nick. I'm sorry, I didn't do the announcements yet. 1 second, Nick. So let's like the video. My bad, everybody. Let's like the video. We're currently at 439 likes. Nick has a story he's going to hit, one that he hasn't been able to get to. We have a bunch of those. We always have to keep pushing off. So Nick is going to cover a story, and then we'll get to the AOC Instagram video, and AOC pretty much throwing out progressive policy in order to unite, so-called unite with the corporate Democrats and Democratic leadership. So we'll cover that article and video. But before we get to that, let's like the stream. We have 283 likes. Wow. We could actually do another 200, but how about we just do another 100? So we have 438 people watching. Let's do 383. Can we get to 283, 285 if you want to make it a round number? Let's get to 285. That's 100 more people hitting that like button. Subscribe to our Substack for notifications when we go live in our clips. And now, Nick, I pass it back to you for your story, sir.
So one of the reasons why, as a person on the left, we call out the Ukraine war funding is because the obvious fact that our government is spending billions of dollars waging war as people starve and go homeless. That's why I say over and over again, as a leftist, getting the Ukraine war issue right should not be hard. How are you guys okay? How is the NATO left okay with us sending billions of dollars to Ukraine while we have a homeless epidemic in blue states and in red states as well? And we also been discussing this weird Overton window shift where there's a lot of bullshittery, and I'm explaining this throughout this segment on the right, where they just try to make liberals look bad. They don't really care about the issue. But the issue about war and war funding is now twisted, where you got Republicans demanding less spending on the military, less spending going to Ukraine, and now they're calling out the liberal hypocrites for refusing to take care of their own people. This video is insane, CJ. First, I'm going to show you guys this, because I was supposed to do this first. This is the result of capitalism. The homeless epidemic is the result of capitalism. I played this on my stream, Nick, at night the other day. You guys see this? Massive homelessness problem that is going on under a lot of Democratic Party mayors, under a lot of Democratic Party strongholds. And these same areas are supportive of sending billions of dollars to other countries, but they're not willing to spend this money in their own communities. So I played this video before, just a nice snapshot on the reality of America that you're not seeing under the little sitcoms that the CIA is programming you to believe that it's real America, right? That's what sitcoms are for, by the way. But you guys are not ready for that conversation. They're here to make you think America is something that is not. This is the reality of America. So what I found interesting, I'll play this video, is the right wing is calling this out. And now I'm going to explain to you guys how they're nefarious and they really don't mean this. But look at this video. This kind of blew me away. This guy is a host of Blaze TV. I didn't know who this guy was. That's why I had to look in there after I saw this video. I was like, who the fuck is this? So look at this video where there is a Ukraine rally going on. I think this was New York. Don't quote me on that, but it was some rally where a bunch of liberals protesting Ukraine. So this guy goes around and says, yo, you guys want all this money about Ukraine. What about the homeless population? Let's check this out real quick.
You don't want to give me any money? Give me some of that Ukraine money.
So you want America to send more money to Ukraine? What about this homeless man? My wife's boyfriend.
I need help.
Don't you think he needs help?
I need help.
This is a rally in support of Ukraine. I attend.
Yeah, but what about the homeless people right here in
We
America?
have problems in America.
So I know who this guy is. This guy is actually a performer. He's not a real homeless person. But the point stands because he literally talking to these Ukraine liberals, like, and they're like, we got to defend Ukraine. What about Americans though? What about
Nick,
American
let me just
homeless people? Go
this
ahead.
guy on the right, what is his name again? I saw him in a video with the guy you debated. What's the big name guy that Destiny? And he was
got Alex Stein.
Don't you think $100 billion?
he was trolling. No, the guy on the right with the white hat. He was trolling Destiny about the open relationship with his wife. That guy was like, "How come this?" He was doing this sort of reporting too. So I guess he does this type of thing, and he was
I don't
pointing
know this
out
guy that well.
contradiction. Yeah, that's
why I really
crazy
had to look
that
at
he's
his
doing
bio.
this
Like, what
too.
the fuck is this? This is a Blaze TV guy, right wing guy. We all know the right wing is not really serious about these issues, and I'm gonna show you guys an example of this real very soon after this part of the segment. But look at how far to the right the Democratic Party has come, where you got the Republican Party attacking them on the issue of homelessness, saying that you guys are not doing enough for the homeless. How embarrassing is that? And this guy, and the reason why I want to show you this clip, because it get better as it go on, because you see that he realized the inner conflict. And I'm not even sure if I want to attack this guy this much, because this guy seems like he's following the wave of propaganda. It's almost like when you look at his reaction, he like never even thought about this question before. Because if you turn on CNN and MSNBC, all they do is talk about how amazing the war in Ukraine is, why it's so important. They don't do homeless segments on there. So this guy is not even programmed to think about it. So let's play the beginning part where you call him out and look, and the reaction of this Ukraine liberal, because that's the main focus of the story. Like I don't even really care about this guy, but they focus to look at the mindset behind the people who support sending billions of dollars to fight wars. I'll go back just a little bit.
His boyfriend.
I need help.
Don't you think he needs help?
I need help.
This is a rally in support of Ukraine.
Yeah, but what about the homeless people right here in
We have
America?
problems in America.
Don't you think $100 billion to
USA
Ukraine is a
first.
lot?
In this case, I'm simply asking this of Congress. Are you asking Congress for this?
Yeah, I think they should help the homeless instead of giving hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine.
You're muted. You're muted.
Oh shit, my bad. See, the reason why that happens, sometimes you got hit twice for some reason. But
Okay.
what I was saying is, like, look at the position that Republicans are in now, where he said, y'all think Congress should do something about homelessness instead of saying to Ukraine. Does he mean that? I'm not sure.
No.
But look at this guy's reaction. Liberals who are supporting this don't even consider this. This is the furthest thing from their mind. I'll just play the last 5 seconds again.
Let me say this part, because I'm making fun of the guy on the right, because it doesn't, if a comedian brings up a point, that doesn't make the point not valid. You get what I'm saying? So if an actor brings up a point to somebody who thinks it's real, so this guy could think this is real, that he's really, and he's saying, why don't you do this? Now he's wondering, like, why don't I do that? So the focus is the guy answering the question, and look at what he's doing in response to whether or not this guy is serious or not. The point he's making still stands. Is the point I want to make sure.
That's exactly why I wanted to do this segment, because this is a case study on the Ukraine simps. And now this guy is so invested, he's going to a Ukraine rally. That's why his mindset is important. How many people, even the people who subtly support Ukraine because propaganda, how many people feel so passionate about it going to a fucking rally? Right, so this is the perfect person to ask about this. So let's continue to watch it, and I think this is extremely fascinating. And I think we're gonna see a lot more, because we all know Republicans don't care. They don't really give a fuck. They're just saying it so they can hurt Democrats. But the Democrats do the same thing to Republicans. It's the red-blue game, right? So heading up to 2024, you're gonna see a lot more of this. A Republican say, "Oh my God, look at all this poverty. Look at people. People don't have health care. People are homeless. But you guys send money to Ukraine." Being like, well, let's continue.
What about the homeless people right here in America?
We have problems in America.
Don't you think $100 billion to Ukraine is a lot?
In this case, I'm simply asking this of Congress. Are you asking Congress for this?
Yeah, I think they should help the homeless instead of giving hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine.
You don't even know what to say. He has no idea what to do. He has no idea. He's like, good Lord, this is such a great point. I have no idea what to say, because there's a homeless person right here in front of me, because he may believe this. And like, he's really doesn't know what to do. Oh, this is freaking classic. Go ahead.
They literally never even thought about this. Let's continue.
Threatening to attack other countries, including the United States.
Do you have any money? Do you want to give him any money? You don't want to give him any money?
Give me some of that Ukraine money.
I'm someone who comes to the dollars every day.
But he's struggling. He's struggling right now. He's actually struggling.
Right.
He's probably doing, the homeless problem is worse here in America than it is in Ukraine.
That's because the Ukraine is actively bombarded by Russia. which means that in many cases, if people lose their house, it is because the Russians blew up their house.
Yeah, but
So Ukrainians being homeless is more important because they getting blown up by the Russians. Meanwhile, BlackRock and landlords are driving up prices to make the point where working class Americans don't have a home. That's okay though. He's not gonna go protest that.
Oh, God.
My brother, you don't see him that often because my brother will be homeless if I didn't shelter him, but he works all the goddamn time. The cost of living is insane. But they got bombed though, so that's why. But see, Josh, if you want to go ahead before I continue.
Yeah, and I just think that we're seeing the realization of a person either propagandized to the max because these are the most propaganda. I mean, if you're physically showing up at a Ukraine rally, this is literally the most propaganda sent. But it looks like to me, Nick, like his normal that he can't hide. His normal reaction is like, yeah, I am now realizing what the hell I'm invested in. I'm now realizing what I'm invested in here. There is in his mind now, I'm not saying because this is an actor, obviously. This is a black homeless guy right here. And like, he has no answer. He has no answer. Yep. So it felt like a epiphany for this guy on the left in the glasses. That's what it felt like to me.
Remember, a lot of liberals, I explained it just before, they view their leftism as morality, right? So now this guy is put in a position being interviewed by a right winger to explain why that Ukraine people deserve it more than U.S. homeless people. So this guy is being out morality by a right winger, and he is short circuiting because of it. We only got another minute. Let's continue this. I got a few more parts to the story.
He doesn't have a house. What about the people here in America? Because they don't have a house. We don't want. That's what I'm saying. We don't want to give it all to the Ukraine. We have homeless people here, right here, Dontaries.
So once again, whether this guy is serious or not is irrelevant. My point is, Democrats are conceding this line to the right, where the right can pretend, oh my God, what about the homeless people here? You guys are sending money to Nazis. Why you don't care about the homeless people? You guys see the problem here? This attack would never work on the left. Imagine this guy coming to an RBN rally or some shit. And he like, what about the homeless people? Like, yeah, let's double it. Let's tax the rich. Let's take that. Let's disband JP Morgan. Take their assets. I'm like, let's come up with some ideas. Let's come up with some plans. This shit only works against liberals, man. Only 30 more seconds here.
Citizen is struggling. This is my wife's boyfriend, Ontarius.
I live in Tent City down the block.
You don't think it's important that we help him?
Yeah. Help home first. USA. USA. USA.
It's okay. Continue talking.
Mommy, don't you guys think we should help American citizens? Dontaries, they don't want to help you. They don't
help America first.
Okay, Don.
So I think we pretty much at the end. I'll pause there. But you guys see, this is the attack line that the liberal class conceded on the Republican Party. But I also want to show you guys this, because this is a tweet I've seen from a right-wing influencer that I just want to have a conversation about, because we got to squash this shit in the bed right now. So to show you guys that the right really don't care about this issue, the American people have been trained to have this deep disdain towards homeless people. And this is a guy, I don't know that much about him, but you just see his tweets around, because he's a right-winger with 1.1 million followers, right? And I looked at his I was scrolling down his website. You see he retweets Charlie Kirk. So the reason I'm showing you guys at the end of this segment right here is that a lot of these right wingers, a lot of these capitalists, they still have a deep hatred toward homeless people. They're just using this as a rhetorical attack on Democrats. Yes. Now, this is a tweet from this right winger that got 13,000 likes. So let's take 70% of that. That's still, you got like 3,000, 4,000 real people on the right that's liking this. This guy says they aren't homeless. They are druggies voluntarily. I'm tired of this nonsense. They suck up all public resources. No, they don't. The cops do. And get high all day. No more euphemisms. And then the reason why I responded, and the reason why I want to have this conversation, because scrolling down this thread is extremely infuriating. Because now you see what the right really feel about homeless people. That's the extension of what capitalists feel about homeless people. They are capitalists, so they can't critique the system that's failing these people. So they say, well, it's not the system that's leaving you homeless. It's because you guys suck. Americans suck. And they think they're patriots. Now, I explained here before, and they say it's voluntarily, they're druggies, despite the fact, and I broke this down on the show, I can show you guys the receipt, around 50% of homeless people work. My brother works. He's gone all fucking day. Why you guys think you don't see anyone in the living room? He's working right now. But he couldn't afford his rent. Got evicted. Now he's living with us. But these capitalist fucks, the capitalist brain rot. This is why at RBN, we don't fuck around with this social democrat shit that, oh, I think capitalism can work with some fixes. No, capitalism is brain rot to the point where you're attacking people, the most marginalized, calling them druggies, saying they suck up public resources, saying they get high all day. And this was the very comments. Go ahead, CJ. I'm ranting.
This sort of sentiment, you can leave that up.
Yeah,
is built into the system, and this is gonna sound familiar. Well, if he didn't want to get shot and dead, why did he walk away? Why did he obey the cop? If he didn't want to get shot dead, it's like there is no, in order for a certain segment of people to accept these atrocities, they have to believe these outlandish narratives, Nick. Yeah. And it's a tradition. The only way they can
justify capitalism. Right. You're on point. That's the only way they can justify capitalism.
Right. That's the point. No, that is the exact point I'm getting to, is that these sort of things, the reason is because you're a druggie, and druggies just love living on the street, and people just love being druggies. Like, I mean, because let's do it both ways. Like we always say, we can do it either way. Let's say they are a druggie. Why do you think there's a druggie? Why do you think people are just taking drugs? Are they overworked, underpaid, working 60 hours, can't even develop adequate relationships? So they just go from divorce to divorce to divorce to divorce. Like, it's so many things that we don't even attribute to the pressures and the conditions of capitalism. He has a quirk. No. That's anxiety, because he knows he can't pay his rent. So now it's built in, and it's anxiety every day. So now we just think it's his personality. That's what we think. So anyway, I know I went in a tangent, but
no, that's perfect. It's perfect because I'm near the end of the story. I'm just showing this receipt here, and this is what Big Dum Dum that I showed, the right wing and the anti-homeless people don't understand. This is the failure of the system. And I say the system because your guys' central planning model is have people who have capital decide the structure of our society. That's why it's called capitalism. So instead of nationalizing housing, nationalizing the banks so people can get low cost housing like they do in China, they leave the housing infrastructure to landlords and real estate development companies. And the result of your central planning model that relies on these capitalists to provide housing is unaffordable to working class people. That is how much capitalism has failed. Now, this is the receipt I really need these wingers to understand. In a 2021 study from Chicago, it showed that 53% of people who are living in homeless shelters work, 40% of unsheltered people were employed, either full or part-time. So this is the reason why they got to call him druggie. You made this point as well. The reason why they got attacked the character, I go back to the original tweet that set me off here. The reason why they got to attack him is because they are capitalists, and they got to attack, punch down, and blame you for your failure. Despite the fact, as I said before, we are all working hard. People who are convinced, like when they report, like, man, if only you work harder, nigga, you working 50 hours a week. You working 50 hours a week. I know. I had the conversations. I told the story a long time ago. I was talking to my cousin who was really depressed. I'm like, man, no matter what happened, I can't get ahead. I'm like, bro, you got 2 jobs, nigga. Like, what? It's not your fault, bro. Your system trained
because we have literally been trained to think like, if we don't have a lot of money, it's us. Like we're literally trained to think it's never the institution. We're literally trained to think it's never the system, personal responsibility, all this other sort of nonsense. So literally a worker can't even realize I'm working 2 jobs and I can barely pay my rent, and that's me. You see, like, you can't even see that because you've been so conditioned to think there's levels of work, meaning you, worker, who is making what is it, $7.25 an hour, you think your labor is not worthy, so you think this is adequate pay. But an actor is making, you get what I'm saying? So you've been conditioned to think your labor, it's the same hours, 2 jobs, 40 hours, 50 hours, the same amount of hours, but you've been conditioned to think that the labor, the type of work you're doing isn't worth a lot. So it is a complete psyop through our education, Nick. This is through our educational system. Yeah.
That's a good ending comment for that segment. This is a good question. I'm gonna dig into this poll a little bit more and answer this, because this is a good point. Does that percentage include children, elderly, and disabled people? Because if it does, it's skewed. And that's another important point for those right-wing scumbags who say homelessness is voluntary. A large percent of homeless people are children. So you calling them people scumbags that they deserve it? That's why it doesn't make sense when people say stuff like, "Oh, what's the point of fixing the homeless problem? It's their choice." Okay, even if you think that, if you're an unhinged asshole, you think about, what about their kids? Are you condemning their kids to a life of poverty and homelessness because you want to be judge, jury, and executioner on people's lifestyle?
It also has to do, Nick, with what you say all the time. Homelessness, that's a Black issue. Yes, it's also and so why do you think they keep using drugs?
Yes.
Who has the stigma of drugs? That is clearly a connection, because they know a lot of the 40% of the homeless population is Black. You think they don't know that? That's the reason why they keep using that. It's pretty disgusting what capitalism has to do and what they're willing to do in order to save their own profits. Anyway, we can end it there.
Yeah, that's a good final thought. And CJ, I'll pass it to you. And I got one more short story after that.
Yeah, so let's get to AOC, because this is a quick video and article here. This is Case Study QBs. Now, we covered part of this. We didn't cover the whole thing, and it was a very short snippet that we covered that was on Twitter. But he found the full video on Instagram, curated it, and put it up. So, like, it's so much we're gonna be debunking here. But this is her. I can't believe she posted this. She posted this. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I didn't see the whole thing. I seen clips of it, and when I saw the little bit that I did see, I had the same reaction. I was like, "Yo, she posted this."
Yeah, she posted this, which is just completely weird to me.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is AOC on IG. Let's just give it that name. That's pretty easy name. And I do these for Aaron. So let's get to this story. Where am I? And here we go. And let's listen to AOC. And she's talking about forced to vote.
And it really goes to show how much you need of a coalition in order to really forcefully negotiate for these things. So when people say, why don't we do this? First of all, there's a lot of cost and dysfunction. Second of all, those people who are holding out right now, they may have made certain structural gains, but they have also made incredible reputation.
That wasn't the question. How come you don't do it is the question. Let me just rewind it, since we only was 7 seconds in.
I want her to finish that thought, and I want to hear what she just said, because this is actually crazy. Because I know she's not about to say what I know she's not about to say what I think she's about to say. I know she's not about to say what I think she's about to say. So go ahead, CJ. I want to say it first. I got feelings.
So, but everybody pay attention to the question she's supposed to be answering. Is why don't the left do what the Freedom Caucus just did?
And it really goes to show how much you need of a coalition in order to really forcefully negotiate for these things. So when people say, why don't we do this? First of all, there's a lot of cost and dysfunction. Second of all, those people who are holding out right now, they may have made certain structural gains, but they have also made incredible reputational and relational harm within their caucus. And so if you are trying to get something done within your caucus moving forward, you still need members of your caucus. And that
hold up, AOC. Hold up. Wasn't you kicked off your committee assignments for being good? And now look at her perspective. Her perspective is, oh my God, they were hated by Washington, D.C. They're hated by Washington, D.C. Bro, Lauren Boebert gained a ton of followers. The right-wing base has been praising her. That is what you're supposed to care about, AOC. She's telling her herself. She's saying that she cares more about being approved and loved by DC than she cares about representing her constituents. And her strategy failed. Because despite the fact that she was a good little girl, voted for Nancy Pelosi, she was stripped from committee assignments. And what is the cost of that, AOC? You're now more unpopular than Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton. So you talking about the blow to their reputation? Nigga, have you seen your approval rating?
How it's such a flimsy excuse, because she's saying, like, listen, the professional managerial class is so known for just making up concepts out of the air, putting words together, and that's a concept. That's what she does right here. So let's listen closely. I'm going to rewind it maybe 7 seconds here for us to catch the point that she makes.
Reputational and relational harm.
That's not a thing. I swear that's not a thing.
And in order to really forcefully negotiate for these things. So when people say, why don't we do this? First of all, there's a lot of cost and dysfunction. Second of all, those people who are holding out right now, they may have made certain structural gains, but they have also made incredible reputational and relational harm within them.
Now, listen to what she just said there. Listen to what she just said. She just told us what's important. She said they may have made structural gains, which is the fucking point.
Yes.
They may have made structural gains, but look what they gave up. Relationship and what did she say? Reputational problems. She just told you relationship reputational problems is more important than structural gains. That's what she just said, Nick.
Some clown shit, man. Unbelievable. That's such a good point, CJ. Unbelievable. Let's continue the video. All right,
sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Unbelievable.
And so if you are trying to get something done within your caucus moving forward, you
done like what? Structural gains? This is clown shit. Done like what? Cutting the military by $75 billion?
And like what Rajo said here is, and this is what I literally was just thinking. That's why I put this comment up. Like, Rajo, you read my brain. I'm watching at this point, like, dude, the AOC simps I see all the time on Twitter, the people who still, like, the subscribers, the people that watch this, like, this is her base. She's talking to them, not us. The amount of disrespect she is showing those people. And I'm thinking, like, how are they taking this? You guys are literally falling for this? There are teenagers, there are young leftists that have followed AOC on Instagram for this? This is the content that you guys like AOC for. This is literally mind-shatteringly bad. But continue, CJ.
Yeah, and it's because just like that guy in that Ukraine video, these are the most propagandized. These are the people you go, if she tweeted the letter A, they retweeted, AOC said A, look at this shit. She knows, like, literally, doesn't have to provide no evidence, nothing. If she says it, the people who are following her saying that's it. Go ahead.
And you want to know what's funny? We talking about her audience. And I'm sure she got some hate followers, right? Hate watchers. But are she picking those comments out? No. What's the question? She's being questioned by her own sycophants. I mean, the people that watch her on Instagram, and these are the people that she comfortable picking their questions out. Even they are like, hey, why didn't you do that shit the right winger doing? You see, the Pandora's box is open, guys. Even the people who are most loyal to AOC are just asking them this question, like, yo, AOC, we love you, queen. I think you're the best queen, but can you explain why that you didn't do the thing that the right wing did? It seemed like the right wing was successful. Can you explain this? And that's why that's the question. Remember with Anna and on TYT? She didn't want to talk about that shit. She would respond to the question like, all right, since you guys are asking me, I'm gonna talk about it now. So even the followers that TYT is grooming, the followers that AOC is grooming, even they are like, man, you guys are kind of fucking wrong on that force of vote thing, aren't you? So let's continue the video.
Oh, that's such a good point. All right, so let's listen.
Still need members of your caucus. And that at the core is an element of electoral politics that is simply inescapable.
Being nice to your friends, having to be nice to your friends is inescapable, is what she's saying. Me having to be nice to Nancy Pelosi and call her Mama Bear is inescapable, is what she's telling us.
Even when you look at someone like Bernie Sanders' tenure in the House, where he was the amendment king, you needed your party to pass your amendments. And so, you know.
One, Bernie wasn't a Democrat, supposedly. And two, people voted for those amendments because they were popular. You think Bernie was out there whipping votes? The fuck out of here. I mean, he probably whipped a few, but I mean, get the fuck out of here.
She contradicted herself, and she's gaslighting her own audience because she just everyone acknowledged the right wing got what they asked. But then she goes around and say, well, in order to get stuff done, you got to do it the ineffective way that we've been trying for the last 5 years, and we got nothing done. Well, but the question is like, what about the right wing who got shit done doing the exact opposite of what you just said? So I don't know how long she's been talking here, but she's doing that strategy where she said a lot of stupid bullshit, and she hope that you forget what the original point's about. So then eventually, like, what the fuck she talking about? Like, she's literally lulling you to sleep. But I'm listening to her like, you contradicted yourself multiple times, literally in the short amount of time we've been listening to you. Well, go ahead, CJ. Let's continue, because I'm sure she's going to do it again.
You have this faction that is in a lot of trouble moving forward, including despite having made certain structural gains. So a lot.
She did it again.
They're in trouble moving forward, despite having a lot of structural gains. She's basically telling us, I ain't willing for that. I ain't trying to have nobody hate me at the gala. Are you crazy? We already hate you. Have you seen your poll numbers? Like doing it, like just do it. Like we already do it. We already hate you. But
so they're gonna be really hurt by what they did, because if you do that, you're not gonna get anything done. If you do what I do, if you make relationships, that's how you get amendments passed. But they got structural change at the same time. Like she is contradicting herself, literally sentence after sentence. But let's continue.
I wonder if her audience can pick that up. But
I really wonder. I
mean, this was like very bloody. Like think of it like a really bloody bar fight. Like no one.
That's what we want. What do you think a political revolution looks like? When Bernie Sanders said political revolution, what do you think the shit was going to look like?
The professional managerial class don't want to get blood on their gala dress, their $10,000 gala dress, Nick. They ain't trying to do that.
This video way worse than I remember. I must have saw a short clip. This is unbelievable. This is way worse than I remember. Like I saw a short clip. I was like, man, this is horrible.
We didn't see this part. We saw like a different part that he clipped.
I saw a short part. I was like, I don't remember this being this goddamn bad. Jesus Christ.
Without any broken noses, with like, everyone has had some blood drawn, and we haven't even been sworn in yet. As opposed to the Democratic caucus.
What?
Now
what does that even mean? But continue.
The strength here, when you are in a minority, the play here is to be united as much as possible. Because if you don't have people who break, then you can pick off the other side with just a matter of a handful of people.
Nick, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? The Republican Party, as long as I ever remember, and people pretend this new Trumpism thing. Do you guys remember Mitch McConnell? Paul Ryan? These people refuse to work with Democrats, Obama, Joe Biden on anything. Anything. Democrats say up, Republicans say down. But AOC is now gaslighting her audience to the point in believing that Republicans are willing to get stuff done if you guys are orderly. And I'm asking you in the chat, when has this ever been the case? Republicans have always been obstructionists. But they've always been that way. But now, in order to apologize for her being weak, she's saying, "Well, if we are we're a nice orderly party, then maybe Republicans will work with us." Like, what I'm saying is not even a Marxist critique. Even Democrats would say Republicans will never work with them. But now, in order to defend herself, she's literally making bullshit that's not true.
But she's talking about the election deniers. The election deniers, they're gonna agree with her. Is that what she's talking about? The election, like it's so the fascists, the people she calls fascists, they're gonna like it's so unbelievable. So let's I updated the banner because AOC pledges to put aside progressive policy. And now this last part she just said, we have to understand. She just said unity above all. Unity with who? Your party, your Democratic leadership, the corporate Democrats. You need those people. She just said you can't be rude to them. So let's listen.
The play here is to be united as much as possible, because if you don't have people who break, then you can pick off the other side with just a matter of a handful of people. So as long as Democrats don't, remain united in a minority, then all the votes you need to win on a certain thing are, depending on how a margin is, 3, 4, or 5. And people say Lauren.
So she's saying force the vote the other way. Try to get 218 votes is what she's saying. Look, if all the Democrats, this is what she's saying, we stand together and they don't have enough votes to pass, they just got to pick off a couple of Republicans. So she's saying 218 votes instead of the very small amount of votes you have to do in order to get, but you're going to get that pushback that she doesn't want. Reputational and relationship problems or whatever the word that she used, right? Man. So, all right, so let's continue.
Boebert has more spine than you. Lauren Boebert won her race by 500
This
votes.
is the part where you heard, and she gets really offended.
Play that part again. Wow.
You can tell she's so offended by this.
Well, so she definitely heard people say that. And
yes.
She's addressing that. Like, I don't think she really comments. I may be wrong, but she's riffing and she says, well, I know some people say Lauren Boebert has got more guts than me. Nigga, she brought that up non-prompted. That's how you know that she's her up at night. Because,
so what does she come out and do? She comes out and not say what the strategy did was good or why she can't do that. She literally talks about how she barely won her election. That has nothing to do with the point that you're talking about, why you're even bringing her up. Go ahead.
And that's a bullshit reasoning. For one, that election was before this. So how can you use this instance and say, oh, well, she only won by 500 votes? Because she's misleading people to think that happened because of this. But that election happened before this forced to vote thing happened. Also, Lauren Boebert lives in a purple state. So, of course, her race is going to be more competitive. You live in a deep blue New York district that you have no Republican challenger that's ever going to win. Right. So then she said, oh, my God, I live in a deep blue district, so I'm safe. And she's attacking Lauren Boebert for struggling in an election. Yeah. She is a clown, by the way. That's why she struggled. To be clear, she's a clown. That's why she struggled. But that's apples and oranges, comparing your district to hers. And then using that to say, well, I'm more popular than her because I won my election cleanly. So that shows that what she did, even though what she did is after the election. Do you see how it's why? Because that's what she's saying. She's saying, I did the right thing because I'm safer than Lauren Boebert. But that's literally such a fucking misleading statement in so many ways. And it's so how desperate she is. CJ, she's been thinking about this for days. Like, you know that Lauren Boebert should have been eating her up with people saying that she had more guts than AOC. So she's like, let me think of a fucking comeback, nigga. I know. She only won by 500 votes. That's the only thing she can come up with. That's the only.
And 500 more people voted a different way, but they didn't. So what? You're pointing out she lives in a purple district and you live in like a D plus 95. Like, so, and what? So let's listen though.
How a margin is 3, 4, or 5. And people say Lauren Boebert has more spine than you.
Now, what does winning an election have to do with spine?
Exactly.
What does winning or losing by 500 votes have to do with spine? Go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
No, to your point, just real quick. Remember, I explained this on stream like maybe a few months ago. According to the boutique left and the progressive left, their goal is to get elected. That is considered a victory to them. It's not what you do after you get elected. They get elected like, oh my God, we did it, we won. So that's why AOC bring this up, because she's groomed to. So when people, well, you think Lauren Boebert more gutsy than me? Look, I won my election by more votes. That's what matters in DC. You guys see how she been infected by DC brain? Didn't even take that.
Go ahead. So So all of the left calling you out about forced to vote, you brush that shit off. Like, nigga, get the fuck out of me. But Lauren Boebert, a clown by your definition, AOC, that hurts you to the core. That you got to bring it up right here. Now, let's listen closely. You tell me you don't hear the anguish in her voice.
Yes.
Lauren Boebert won her race by 500 votes. Lauren Boebert took a Trump.
You don't see the attitude all of a sudden appear in her face?
Well, yeah, she getting mad. Oh,
you didn't. I'm gonna just rewind it. I'm gonna rewind it to her normal face, and you don't tell me some of this don't come out. Like some of that don't come out about Lauren Boebert. You tell me you don't see that. This is normal, AOC.
Lauren Boebert has more spine than you. Lauren Boebert won her race by 500 votes. Lauren Boebert took a Trump plus 9 district and nearly lost it to an up-and-coming Democrat as an incumbent member of Congress. Lauren Boebert is dramatically weakened. And the people of
she don't say how. She just says she's weakened.
And then
that's all.
That election is before this. That election is before this. So if Boebert loses later, that's a fair point, right? But the question is, like, she's saying that Lauren Boebert did wrong by forcing the vote because of her election when the election happened before this. That's not a reason. Like, so she's deflecting on stuff that makes no sense. But go ahead.
She hasn't answered any of her own questions. She's posing the questions, and she ain't even answering her own questions, nigga.
Yeah, she's fighting her demons live on camera. That's why I can't believe she uploaded this, because she's literally fighting her demons on camera. You can see that she's going through all the arguments she here made, and then she started bringing them up non-prompted. Let's continue.
of Colorado nearly sent her packing. If 500 people voted differently that day, this would not be happening right now. And you know, if you're a Republican, if you're a hard-standing Republican, she almost cost you your majority.
Why would you say that if you're a progressive?
Yeah.
Why would you say the person who did force the vote and extracted stuff, she almost cost you your majority? Doesn't that sound just like Democrat establishment? What side are you on, AOC?
I think at this point I'm gonna let her hang herself, because at this point you can tell that she's in shambles. She's in shambles, and I explained earlier on before she picked that comment out, that question, because she knew she had to address it, and she's floundering. I love the fact that this video confirms that she knows that she fucked up. That's what I get. But I let her hang herself at this point, because I think it's obvious that she knows she's in the wrong here.
If it, frankly, wasn't for the New York State Democratic Party and the New York State Democratic Party's leadership and the incompetence there, we would be having that gavel right now. If between them and Lauren Boebert, we would be having a Democratic majority at this moment. So, you know, this idea that like they are somehow winning, let's just also take a step back and observe that none of these debates resulted in any policy substance. None. This is not a caucus that is organized. The Freedom Caucus is not organized around any core policy issue. Progressives, we organize around Medicare for all. We organize around the Green New Deal. Like those concessions.
No, you don't.
That, even if it's not all the whole farm all at once, but the bill.
She just, where do you do that? Yeah, well, the right, they don't organize any policy. We organize in Medicare for all and the Green New Deal. When? Do you show up to the
like this is what Sam always asks. This is what Sam always asks. How does it manifest itself, AOC? How does it manifest itself? You're organizing for Medicare for all. And what was the other one she said she organizes for? Something else? When is it? What is it? When does this happen? Let me rewind it again, Nick. You just let me know where you want to stop it. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll play it again now. I this is literally pure projection, because what she says, the right does literally what she does. I'll explain after you play the video.
Absolutely.
That like they are somehow winning. Let's just also take a step back and observe that none of these debates resulted in any policy substance. None. This is not a caucus that is organized.
They decreased the military budget and got term limits, by the way. I disagree with like 80%, 90%, 95% of shit they got done, right? But what AOC said is objectively not true, because they got term limits, they got the ability to remove the speaker, and they decreased the military budget. So no matter if you disagree with everything else, that just shows that she lied. They got substantive policy shit. So that's a lie. But go ahead, let's continue.
Core policy issue. Progressives, we organize around Medicare for all. We organize around the Green New Deal.
When?
Like those
Medicare for all. She didn't show up. Like Green New Deal. What organizing have they done for that? You have never organized your 12 million or however many million followers you have. You have never done that.
CJ, she said, well, when you look at the right wing, when they force to vote, they'll force them to vote on a bunch of bullshit. But what we fight for Medicare for all and Green New Deal. Bro, the question was, why didn't you do that about Medicare for all, LC? So you literally, like every sentence I can pick apart what you just said. So she said, I fight for Medicare for all and health and Green New Deal. Okay, if you fight for Medicare for all, why didn't you do the right-wing version of that? AKA force to vote. Jesus Christ. These people are so... I was about to say dumb, but she's malicious. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. But go ahead.
Those concessions that even if it's not all the whole farm all at once, but the building blocks to get us there, that's what we fight for and fight towards. But these folks, they're negotiating around committee assignments for themselves.
You guys was too. Nigga, the reason why they said they don't want to force the vote is because they said they need to protect their committee assignments. That is literally one of the main reasons the boutique left for use. But sorry, I can't interrupt them. Continue.
No, I'm saying she's obviously on the fly because she would have obviously, hey, I should probably take this out of this speech. Yeah. She's obviously on the fly because she should not have said that. You're making yourself look bad.
Yeah, and go back to the part when she says, let's go back like literally just 5 seconds. What she said, well, the right wing, what they're asking for is committee assignments. You see how they have to lie? Because if she actually said the truth, that would legitimize her argument. Why didn't AOC said, well, the right wing, they're looking to defund the military budget. The right wing looking for term limits. The right wing looking to have the ability to force a vote on the speaker. She doesn't come up with any of those things because they're lying by omission. And everyone been doing it. They pretend the right got nothing of substance, even though that's factually untrue. But let's continue.
Absolutely.
Those concessions that even if it's not all the whole farm all at once, but the building blocks to get us there, that's what we fight for and fight towards. But these folks, they're negotiating around committee assignments for themselves, certain rules changes. Not all of them are bad, mind you, but not all of them are good either. And they're really organized around grievance.
You know, the one she's talking about is not good. The one she's talking about is not good is being able to recall the speaker. That's the one she's saying is not good. Like, and she is struggling. That's why it's like, why are you doing this and why are you rambling? She is
and why you post this?
Struggling here.
I cannot believe, like, why you post this? Was it live and she had no choice? I'm assuming is that.
I think that might have been the case.
I'm assuming that's the only reason. I caught myself. I'm assuming the only reason this shit is up because this shit was live and she had no choice. But this is a horrific video. Like, I may be naive here, but I swear to God, this should be one of the videos that if you're an AOC Sigma fan, I think maybe like 30% might see this video like, whoa, something's up. I don't know, maybe I'm naive. But I don't think even people who, I'm taking my Marxism out of it. I'm taking my own biases out of it. I am thinking like, who is tricked by this, man? Like, it's almost depressing. Like, if you're one of AOC fans and you don't see past her after this, you're not going to. But go ahead, let's continue.
And so, you know, I think sometimes people conflate the necessary work of outside organizing with the internal work of legislating. And the fact of the matter is you cannot do one without the other. I mean, I do think there's a decent amount of organizing you can do outside of legislative goals. There's plenty. You can organize attendance.
I'm not going to help though.
You can unionize your workplace. You can.
He said, yeah, there's a lot of outside games that we can do, but I'm not going to help you. You know, the marches that we did, the Amazon union that called you out for not showing up. They're like, yeah, there's an outside game. I'm not going to help you, though. Good luck with that shit, nigga.
You know what she's literally talking about? She's talking about what happened with Amazon. She's talking about you guys do all of the work, and I'm going to come in right at the finish line with some water for y'all and say, we did it, just like she tried to do with the Amazon workers. That's literally what she's talking about. Outside inside game. That's what she's talking about.
Do all sorts of stuff. But the idea that you can push and emphasize legislative goals without an outside, that part I think is untenable. At least as a progressive. Actually.
So she's basically trying to say, so let's rewind back to force the vote. So if you participated in Force the Vote, why didn't you coordinate with the left movement that was pushing for Force the Vote so you could have pushed in the halls of Congress while you had an outside game on the outside? Like, what are you talking about? You are the inside and outside game. You have 12 million followers, subscribers, or whatever they call it. What are you even talking about? Let's listen.
Actually, just in general, because the right wing of the Democratic Party also organizes on the outside for their internal goals, but they do it with money. And as progressives, we have to do it with people. And so, you know, when you have a base that focuses most of its ire towards the people on their side, because YouTube algorithms reward that, you're just playing into the hands of the capitalists who.
I have no idea what she's even talking about at this point. I don't even know. What are you answering? This is a CIA infiltration tactic. She's just rambling on, rambling and rambling, confused. And you just go, well, what are we talking about? She just rambles and rambles on. Let's listen to some more rambling here.
Who run those algorithms. And so I'm not saying that all these folks in these media outlets who stir these things up are bad. Far from it. There are incredible people doing very thoughtful work. But there are also a lot of people who make and determine what they're going to make their videos on based on YouTube views and based on algorithms. And those algorithms almost always reward left infighting. That's what's.
I can't believe she just said that. I gotta rewind this because I didn't get this far, and we're almost to the end of the video. 2 minutes left, less than 2 minutes. I didn't hear this part. This is unbelievable to me. Let me make sure I heard what I think I heard.
But they do it with money. And as progressives, we have to do it with people. And so, you know, when you have a base that focuses most of its ire towards the people on their side, because YouTube algorithms reward that, you're just playing into the hands of.
Is she talking about us or Jimmy Dore specifically?
I'm sure she's talking about Jimmy because we're not that big. But I'm sure she's talking about Jimmy. She 100%. She may be talking about us. She may heard about us, but 100% Jimmy Dore. I would say that. Maybe us, but 100% Jimmy Dore for sure.
Yes,
that's what she's talking about. Because Jimmy got 1 million subscribers. Everyone knows.
Because she's talking about on the left, the YouTube algorithm rewards left infighting. She's not talking about TYT. All the videos that Jimmy Dore does to critique the awful job I'm doing, she's calling that infighting, and then she's saying that the algorithm rewards that. So that's stunning.
You know, she's talking about Jimmy Dore, RBN, the Convo Couch. I'm gonna just say that's the Convo Couch, Jimmy Dore, RBN left. You know they're talking about this because when she's talking about infighting, you think she's talking about TYT? You think she's talking about the Majority Report? Or you think she's talking about David Pakman? Nigga, it's obvious who she's talking about when she says that. And then she
forced the vote. I mean, it was only one big name not one, because Justin Jackson was it was a lot actually. Cornel West was in it, but the ones like forcefully publicly pushing it. Jimmy Dore was one of them. So yeah, I absolutely, because she's talking about YouTube. That's another thing. She's talking about YouTube. Who's bigger on YouTube on the left than TYT, and that's Jimmy Dore. I mean, singularly, it's Jimmy Dore. Like a single person network is TYT, but. Let's continue what she says here.
The capitalists who run those algorithms. And so I'm not saying that.
I was just about to say something. I was just about to say something. I was just, look how she's trying to act like she's down for that shit.
All these folks in these media outlets who stir these things up are bad. Far from it. There are incredible people doing very thoughtful work. But there are also a lot of people who make and determine what they're going to make their videos on based on YouTube views. And
based on YouTube views, we make our videos. Not you strike breaking. Wow. Not that. Not you getting a protest, an anti-war protest and looking like a clown. Not that. Not the $15 minimum wage. Not the kids in cages. Not your tweet that's not followed up. Not doing force a vote. Like none of that is the reason why anybody does content. Yeah. It's just so we can put your name in the title for the algorithm.
I told you guys. I said this before. In my live stream while I was covering Claire Daily. I wish that I could play a clip of Bernie Sanders or AOC on the Congress floor calling out NATO. I wish I can have a video of AOC and Bernie Sanders. Well, I'm like, God damn, they got the Ukraine issue right. Yes. You guys see what Bernie said on this issue? I said this multiple times. I want to do those segments. We got to look across the pond. I had to do a segment about Lula calling out Zelensky because you won't. You won't. We had to do segments criticizing you for not forcing the vote. We had to do segments for you about not you showing up to Medicare for all rallies because you didn't. Like you are messing up. And me and CJ, we talk about this behind the scenes before. Like they keep giving us content because it's unbelievable how bad they are. But the last thing I'm gonna say on this is probably the most interesting part in this entire video.
Yeah.
Out of the entire video, this is the most telling. This is the most interesting, and this is the most substantive part we get out of the video. Why do I say this? Because she brought up the YouTubers unprompted. Was there a question about the YouTubers? Nope. She brought that shit up, and like we said earlier before, we know she's talking about Jimmy Dore, and she knows we talking about our lane on the left. She's not talking about TYT majority report. So what does that tell you? This is why this is the most important part of this whole video. This shows you that AOC knows what they're saying, what we are saying about her. She sees those Jimmy segments. She sees those RBN segments. And it was up in there. We didn't know. She can probably just be insular, rich as fuck, not giving a fuck on none of this. The fact that she brought this up unprovoked is how you know that she's on the alt somewhere and she's seeing these goddamn videos. Or she hearing about, maybe she's not even watching. Maybe she's hearing about the videos from one of her interns, one of her friends.
Yeah. They're all in her Twitter comments.
There's a line of information that she get that so she knows what the YouTube left is talking about. And out of this entire video, I think that's the most significant part. That admission that she gave out. The admission that she knows that there's left criticism of her. But go ahead, let's continue. Let's continue, CJ.
And so I'm not saying that all these folks in these media outlets who stir these things up are bad. Far from it. There are incredible people doing very thoughtful work. But there are also a lot of people who make and determine what they're going to make their videos on based on YouTube views and based on algorithms. And those algorithms almost always reward left infighting. That's what's going to get you your clicks, right? And so you have to be really thoughtful about some of that and how you navigate in that, because at the end of the day, we still have very small numbers in Congress, and our central goal, at least ours, is in growing those numbers, which is why we're really excited this Congress to add to our existing squad. Like in 2014, we came in, it was just 4 of us. Then in 2018, we added folks like Jamal Bowman. We added, progressives. Other progressives, Bush.
Sorry, keep going. That was funny as hell. That's the first name she said.
We have now added Greg Casar, Maxwell Frost, Deborah, like many other progressives into Congress. And now, where we started with 4, we're getting a little closer to that double-digit representation. And that's when things start to get really interesting. Should we?
Oh, so that's the new threshold. They're gonna start hanging over our heads, Nick. This is the new bait, the new thing, that the new string along they're gonna have for us. We just got to get double digits now. Then we're really gonna fight, guys. Double digits. That's the new threshold now, huh? Okay, let's. It's almost done.
It's such a grift because Ilhan Omar literally tweeted out that we only need a handful of Congress people. We need about 5 Congress people. Now we need 10. Once we get 10, they say, "Oh, we need 25." It's gonna keep going. Oh, they're gonna keep raising the number over and over again. Let's continue.
You win back the House in 24, but. This is a team sport. And I think a lot of times people think elections are just about set it and forget it. I'm just going to pull my lever for someone and let them do the work. And if you're that kind of person, I'm not sitting here to knock that. But if you are a left or if you are a progressive organizer.
You are absolutely knocking that. She's basically saying y'all need to come out and do some work. That's what she's getting to here. I can't believe she's doing that. She did a word salad for freaking 6 minutes, and then at the end to say, y'all need to get out here and do some work.
Oh my God, that's so fucking disrespectful, dude.
Oh God, let's
continue.
Should we win back the House in 24? But this is a team sport, and I think a lot of times people think elections are just about set it and forget it. I'm just going to pull my lever for someone and
look at that fraudulent slip.
And if you're that kind of person,
she says it's a team sport. What she's telling on herself? Does she not realize that? When she says that, you are admitting that you literally view politics as red versus blue. It is a team sport for you, not serious. And that's our criticism, CJ. Our criticism of them is that they view politics as team sports, and she just says it. Unbelievable. Let's continue. Unbelievable. She just said one of my main criticisms.
Or if you are
like, listen to this part right here. But she says, if you are a left person, and then they would cut it off. Let's hear
for someone and let them do the work. And if you're that kind of person, you know, I'm not sitting here to knock that. But if you are a left,
hang on a second
or if you're
here. I didn't go far back enough here.
Progressives to our existing squad. Like in 2014, we came in, it was just 4 of us. Then in 2018, we added folks like Jamal Bowman. We added, you know, progressives, other progressives. We had Cory Bush, of course. And now this Congress, we have now added Greg Casar, Maxwell Frost, Delia Ramirez, like many other progressives into Congress. And now, where we started with 4, we're getting a little closer to that double-digit representation. And that's when things start to get really interesting, should we win back the House in 24. But, you know, this is a team sport. And I think a lot of times people think elections are just about set it and forget it. I'm just going to pull my lever for someone and let them do the work.
She's saying here team sport as in y'all need to do some work. Us, the voters. As if she's doing something on the inside, but let's listen.
And if you're that kind of person, you know, I'm not sitting here to knock that. But if you are a left or if you are a progressive organizer, what we need the most support in is support during game time, during legislating. And I can't tell you how common it is for us to look to guidance, look to the grassroots for guidance. And sometimes you don't hear anything until after something bad happens. And so a lot of what we're doing right now is building our infrastructure, not just internally, but also starting to invest and work with our outside partners in building up more of that infrastructure, that organizing infrastructure externally. And the fact of the matter is that the left in the United States has been persecuted at different points in history for a very long period of time. And as a result was really winnowed very much. And for people who may ask how or what or why, there are so many ways.
Do you guys remember the original question?
Look at
yeah, we can stop there.
You guys remember the original question? What the fuck does that have to do with the original question?
No, Nick, the reason I said I could stop it there because I was literally, the thought that was going through my head right when you were speaking was, I don't even understand what this video was supposed to be telling us here. I had no idea what that video was about. She went from talking about Lauren Boebert to giving all kind of excuses to omitting what the Freedom Caucus got. Like that was just a hot mess. That's all I can say. A hot mess.
He went on that long, incoherent rant to answer the question about why he didn't do what the Republicans did in 2020. What did I tell you? Like this is shit that been keeping her up at night. She had a lot of scattered thoughts about it. Because that would happen to me whenever I do anything fucking stupid. Like whenever I have some regrets, like I got a ton, right? Yeah. Like whenever I talk about scatterbrain about like I did this because this blah blah blah. That's what she's about when it comes to force to vote. She's scatterbrain as fuck. But anyway, any last thoughts, CJ? I got
no, that's it. Let's do that quick story you got. Yeah.
Then, I gotta do a quick story. And then Stabby is going live around 6. But this
45 minutes. I mean, if you got a 10-minute story, I got a 10-minute story, and then we can end probably around 3:35. So about 25 minutes before Sabby starts, we can probably end. So let's try it. You do your story, then I do mine, then we out of here.
Yeah, this is a super quick story. I told you guys one of my favorite stories that I've seen is the Biden documents being declassified. Biden having declassified documents. Because as I said yesterday in our yesterday stream, Biden's been in the Democratic Party been digging the hole. To be clear, I don't give a fuck about these fucking documents and politics. They all corrupt. They all doing fucking shady shit. That's not how. I don't want to take you down for that. I want to take you down because of war crimes, because you turn your back on the working class. But the Democrats dug a hole for an entire year, 6 months. How long this shit been going on? Well, they said Trump is the most corrupt person ever because he got classified documents. The worst thing Trump ever done, he got classified documents. This is unhinged. He should never be allowed to run for president ever again. That's why this story is interesting. And now Biden got caught having classified documents in multiple places, unlocked, right? So now Democrats got to figure a way to walk themselves back after claiming this is the worst thing you can possibly do. This story, even though it's not as substantive, is glorious because I've been watching the liberals struggle with it. And it's the point where they literally doubling down on Blue Anon. You know how Democrats are the day of conspiracy theories? Like Democrats and Republicans, they both push conspiracy theories, right? The Democrats will have you believe that QAnon and Republicans have alternative facts, and they're the only conspiracy theorists. You guys want to see what the Democrats been saying to justify Joe Biden being called with classified information? Look at this.
Oh no.
Rep. Hank Johnson and others believe that classified Biden documents was planted.
Oh my God.
How long did they say Russia did it? Russia planted the documents. And it said alleged classified documents showing up allegedly in the possession of Joe Biden. Things can be planted in places and then discovered conveniently. That may be what have occurred here. So this is the first person testing this out. Because I told you guys how things work in politics. People get memos. That's why you hear the same talking point when you look on MSNBC. Hell, shit, TYT recently too. They on the memo train. Like when you see people say the same thing, there's a memo that goes out. So Hank Johnson was the first person that started flowing this shit out. Man, I don't think Joe Biden did anything wrong. He can't be. Joe Biden's perfect. He can never do anything wrong. Them ones had to be planted. This is a right-wing conspiracy theory. Right? And look, he said, this is another one. Was it not even just him? You got all the big liberal accounts. They got over 12, they got 12.8 thousand likes in this tweet. Tracy Beth, the Karen of the day. She said, sorry, but I just can't believe in the coincidence that the classified documents were found just now. 8 years later, in a non-government office of Biden's. They were planning. No doubt at all in my mind. Who agrees it's just too convenient? And you scroll down this thread, I feel the same. On top of which, if those classified documents was out of the secure location for that long, then the system storing and keeping track of those documents is severely broken. Another person, this is Dave Wiseman. Once again, these are not random people. These are big liberal accounts. We got elected politicians saying this. He said, yeah, I think I find it suspicious too. But tell me more about how Trump supporters are the only conspiracy theorists. I got some more because this is a short story. They got the celebrities on the memo as well, CJ. The celebrities on the memo. Joy Behar from The View suggests Republicans planted classified documents on Joe Biden to help Trump. You gotta see why
this is a clown show, Nick.
It's absolutely. This is why this is my favorite fucking story. That is not serious. This is my favorite non-serious story. Because look at how liberals are twisting themselves in the most tightest pretzel I've ever seen in my life to explain why what Joe Biden did was essentially the same thing as Trump is not that bad. And last receipt I'm gonna share once again. This is a very short story. I'll give you a reaction. But this is Korean Dream Pierre. I'm gonna just turn the audio on so you guys can hear her real quick. Very short clip where she says like the tame version of the conspiracy theory, right? Where you have the unhinged ones like Joy Behar, and these people say that it's Republican planning that. She's not gonna quite say that, but she's gonna say something very similar. Let's listen.
As the president said, he takes classified information and materials seriously. And as we have
not seriously enough, apparently,
said, we have cooperated from the moment we informed the archives that a small number of documents were found, and we will continue to cooperate. We have cooperated closely with the Justice Department throughout its review, and we will continue that cooperation with the special counsel. We are confident that a thorough review will show that these documents were inadvertently misplaced, and the president and his lawyers acted promptly upon discovering of this mistake. As the president said, he takes classified.
How can you so confidently say that's what the investigation is gonna say, unless you know the investigation is gonna be fixed? That's how you know.
And don't they realize this is literally what the same argument that Trump supporters are using? Trump supporters have two arguments that I mostly hear of. I do admit I did miss because I haven't been following drama that much. But they do say that Donald Trump was president, so he had the ability to reclassify it, and they also say it was misplaced. These are the same things. And this is a great tweet for Edward Snowden. I pass it to you for any last thoughts on the segment. Edward Snowden said, "Man, I should have thought of that one." The point being, there have been military officers, people like Edward Snowden, people prosecuted for having declassified information. Well, sorry, classified information. They never get off by saying, "Oops, my bad. Accidentally misplaced it. Oops, I guess I'm a little clumsy." Nobody ever get off by ass dudes ever.
The reason this is such a funny story and irony to me is because of the Democrats and what they pushed all this time. Classified documents, and then this happens. So it looks like egg on their face. And I mean, even in that video she did, it's like she's looking down, she's like, "Yeah, we're gonna find." That's like it's such a dog, like tail in between your legs, like dog.
That same with Morning Joe. Remember that Morning Joe segment?
Oh yeah, that too.
They were playing too. They are extremely uncomfortable with this. But go ahead, CJ. I know you had
No, and you know what? I think Morning Joe. Well, they're gonna keep talking about these classified documents. I think they covered it again today.
I missed it
because I had it up, but I didn't see it, so I'm gonna go back and look at it. But that's about this story, similar to what you were saying. This is what's so funny to me because they look like clowns and they can't really. It messes up one of their plans to take down Trump for the presidency, because literally this softens that whole document. It literally just went out the window because of Joe Biden and dementia Joe Biden. So
that's why this
close it there. Go ahead.
That's why this story just. and how long? I told you it's only a matter of time. They're gonna say Russia playing the documents. It's only a matter of time. This is gonna be an amazing story to watch unfold. But I'll pass to you, CJ.
All right, so I have a very quick story here, and this one has to do with Crystal Ball and our friend David Sirota. And I'm just going to play you two quick clips, and I want your comment similar to what you like you just did. So let's see, where's the first? Just pull this up. Sorry, everybody. First clip is right here. Okay, so let's share. This is David Sirota and Crystal Ball. Now, this first point that I wanted to make, or that they're making, Nick, is that David asks if Democrats had an economic mandate based off the midterms. That was a serious question. And I just want to hear your thoughts on that part. And then ending this segment, we'll have the second question, which is, she was asked, will new squad members be more assertive than the old squad members? And you'll be surprised of her answer. So here's the first clip, and then we'll get to the second one.
Have more traction on that. And to be clear, I also think the Republicans, while they criticized inflation, they didn't make a cogent argument about what they would do differently. Right. There was like a Republican senator who tweeted out just a picture of him at a gas pump, as if that's the only thing that he had to say. So I guess my question to you then is, knowing this, what do you think in a macro sense the election results say about what Democrats can do, for instance, on economic policy that would prove to be popular? In other words, is there a mandate here that says actually the public kind of likes
their perspective is funny. Has been I'm gonna let it keep playing, but I just want, if you see their perspective, what can the Democrats do, right? What can the Democrats do for this? And they always do. What can the Democrats do to make people believe that they're for the workers? You see how you see the direction they advocate. What would help the Democrats? We are advocating what would help the working class. Meanwhile, I want to
always what would help the Democrats. And maybe I should have gave it a little more background, because originally we was going to play a little more of this, but for the sake of time, we can't do that. So this conversation, Nick, it is short, but it's still this conversation. They're talking about the midterms and how Democrats did good and how the exit polling is showing this and that, without talking about how Democrats lied. So they're essentially saying in this interview, Democrats did well, and it's because Democrats delivered on student loan debt. Crystal Ball makes that point.
I'm gonna fact check myself real quick, but I'm pretty sure the Republicans won the popular vote in the midterm.
Oh yeah, they did. But yeah, if you can do that, if you can bring up any,
go ahead. Left, and I'll be real quick, and we continue the video. we're supposed to be pro-popular vote. So how can you say that the midterms went well for you despite losing the popular vote? Yes, Republicans didn't do as well as expected, but that is not a good sign for your party. They're celebrating a loss and finding a way to spin a loss as a win just because they didn't lose by 40 points. Imagine the Chicago Bulls imagine the LA Lakers and Chicago Bulls play, and the Chicago Bulls, they lose by 10 points. They're like, well, damn, thank God we didn't lose by 50, though. How did you win? Like, and Democrats, I know you know this as well. They keep doing this. When they say, oh my God, the last midterm was great for us because we didn't get absolutely wiped the fuck out. What? But anyway, let's continue the video.
Yeah, that's such a great point. But the other, I think I have this written down part. This other part I want to say. The other part of this is, the other part that I want to interject here is that they talk. This last question was talking about inflation. They said that Democrats' messaging on economics was good, and it was proven because people somehow in the exit poll said, like where the Democrats weren't completely select in the poll. So that meant they weren't buying the narrative of the GOP and on economics. So Democrats must have some sort of message. So they lead to this question. Does this mean because Democrats won, even though Republicans' messaging on inflation was this and they still won, that means Democrats' economic message must have hit. So they have a mandate. That is what he's saying. So I summed up the first 15 minutes, so you understand where we are in the question. So now, with that said, now let's listen to it. Just again, his part.
So I guess my question to you then is, knowing this, what do you think, in a macro sense, the election results say about what Democrats can do, for instance, on economic policy that would prove to be popular? In other words, is there a mandate here that says actually the public kind of likes what Biden has been doing in terms of spending and economic policy?
So first, let me echo the points that you're making there, because that was what I initially went to as well, is that, I had seen polling previously.
She was thinking the same thing.
We're going to echo that? Nope. Oh, Jesus. Keep playing. Jesus.
Okay, what do you think this inflation situation is all about? And they're like, well, Jesus Christ, there's corporate profiteering and there's a freaking war going on in Ukraine. And we just went through COVID. And I should have put two and two together, that people were savvy enough to realize, like, this is not all to lay, at the feet of Joe Biden.
How is the war not Biden?
You just gave a reason why. What did she talk? She said, first of all, Americans acknowledge that the Ukraine war and corporate greed is the reason why inflation. So how does that lead you to the conclusion that they like Biden, who's responsible for both those things? This is literally this is Democratic Party apologia. This is pro-Biden apologia.
And she just admitted, she just came up with that on the fly just now. Like, I was coming up with the same thing, and then she, like, this is completely made up. She's jumping on this, but let's listen some more to this. Anyway, let's listen.
Okay, what do you think this inflation situation is all about? And they're like, well, Jesus Christ, there's corporate profiteering and there's a freaking war going on in Ukraine, and we just went through COVID. And
COVID, corporate profiteering, and Ukraine, isn't that all under Joe Biden's control?
Joe Biden literally breaking unions, bro. Like, whose side? Do you think Joe Biden not on the side of corporations? You guys see the implication that these people like Crystal leave? So when people say, well, Crystal criticize the Democrats sometimes, but despite those criticisms, look at the implication. The implication that Biden's somehow not tied to corporate corruption and the failure of the COVID-19 policies. This is unbelievable. Unbelievably bad.
And earlier in the interview, they said, yeah, young people came out because they believed in Democrats. This is what they're saying, abortion and all this stuff. And I'm like, they were lied to, man. How are y'all saying this in this interview? And you aren't even bringing up that they were lied to, that the student debt loan forgiveness thing was a sham to set up to fall like a house of cards. Go ahead, Nick, if you're going to.
Yeah, that's such a good point. So instead of coming on their stream and being angry as fuck like we are all the time and saying the Democrats tricked young people, instead of saying Democrats tricked young people, they say, oh, young people came out for Democrats, so that must be a good sign for Democrats. Do you guys see the difference in perspective?
And
This is
that's
what
the
makes
point.
RBN unique, because we're not doing that bullshit. But go ahead, CJ.
And I should have put two and two together that people were savvy enough to realize, like, this is not all to lay, at the feet of Joe Biden. They sort of recognized the realities of the economic situation and, what was actually causing the dynamics that they were genuinely suffering with in their own lives. I think Democrats, I still think they missed an opportunity to make an affirmative economic case. They didn't do that. They leaned all the way into abortion, but who can second guess them at this point, given how historically, how historically surprising these results.
How can you second guess what they did in the midterms? Because look at the results of their lies, Nick. That I can't believe they're not adding that part. And let me just go to the second part now so we can get out of here.
You notice how they completely ignore the people who don't vote? And this is by design. People literally never even think about that shit. They never ask the question like, why are working class people not going out and support Democrats? Why are people staying home? It's all about, look at the people who voted, look at the quote unquote wins the Democrats have, and that's why Democrats are doing well. Unbelievable. Let's continue.
Yeah, so here's a second part where she answers the question about the new progressives. Will they be any more adversarial?
Benefited from that in the sense of those were the age demographics that really carried the day for the Democrats, because above 39, Democrats did not win. And of course, above 39, you have voting blocks that turn out in actually higher levels of turnout. So the party really was buoyed by big margins among young people. Let's talk about a couple of these races. I mean, races for high-profile progressives. John Fetterman pulling out a win in Pennsylvania. Summer Lee in the Pennsylvania 12th district out in Pittsburgh. I saw her during my trip to Pennsylvania.
Keep playing. You keep playing.
She successfully fended off over $4 million in spending from AIPAC. There are new progressive House members like Maxwell Frost, Greg Caesar, Delia Ramirez. Was this a particularly good night for progressives? Because I think a lot of people feel, a lot of progressives, rank and file progressive people out there, feel like there hasn't been a particularly assertive progressive bloc in the Congress. Do you think that changes?
So he's saying people have felt that the squad is bullshit. That's what he's saying, but in a nice way.
Look at what he said. People feel like, guys, y'all understand the reason why we're so critical of these people, because we analyze propaganda. Why we said people feel instead of just saying they are sellouts?
Right.
To me, saying AOC is a sellout is an objective fact. If you look at what she said, what she has done, what her votes are. But David Schroeder leaves it up in the air. Some people say. You guys don't.
That is a great point.
Anyway, go. Let's continue. We catch on to this shit, man. Like, it's so obvious what they're doing.
In the Congress. Do you think that changes now?
Let me go back to the question here.
Progressives, rank and file progressive people out there, feel like there hasn't been a particularly assertive progressive bloc in the Congress. Do you think that changes now?
No, I don't think it particularly changes. I mean, listen,
but we're going to continue with this plan of progressives, even though I know it's not going to change. Ha ha ha, because I got healthcare. Ha ha ha, because I'm a millionaire. Ha ha, because I got an Oscar.
Yep.
But they're going to continue the strategy, Nick. But Crystal Ball just admitted. No, these people ain't going to have a backbone. Are you kidding me? And we can end it there. That was the last part.
I think that says a lot. I think that video in the clip that we play, I think it speaks for its own. Like the small language cues they use. And I understand, like, a lot of people that think they're legit, that they don't pick up on it. But once you analyze propaganda, once you see how people apologize for a two-party duopoly, to me and CJ, this shit is glaring. Like, when I watch these videos, it's glaring. That's why we
have to stop it so many times, because it's literally almost every other word they're saying something. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's why my goal of RBN and becoming an independent media person is to make sure that people who consider themselves on the left have more intellectual discipline or more well-trained to spot out this propaganda. So when you guys see this shit, you're not one of the people that fall for it. Yeah, because there's people to this day that like, oh my God, RBN is harsh on David Schroeder. Oh my God, RBN is harsh on Crystal Ball. When I see that video, I'm like, man, we should win harder, because these people are playing a very particular role, and it's clear to us. But that's my last thought. In terms of announcement, I fill out tomorrow. I still literally got 2 stories. I cut one of my longer ones. We see. I fill that out because it's been a long week.
And
we
I
see.
agree. And there was a story that I didn't get to that is to me is important that we get to. Let me see if I have it here. Fed chair defends the dictatorship of capital.
So we may go live tomorrow.
It's some quotes in that shit where he is just saying it out in the open, like stuff like employment. We got to have like, I'm glad I'm not a political person that can be voted out because our policies are unpopular. He literally says this, Nick. I can't even believe.
So we may go live tomorrow. It may be a shorter, like. We may go live tomorrow. We see. But anyway, I see you guys. We got a lot of great stuff coming up. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. We have the Patreon as well that you guys some support if you enjoy these shows. I'll pass it to you, CJ, to close it out.
Yeah,
and we got Sabby's live in like 25 minutes as well. So we got more content for you guys today. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Much love, fam.
Absolutely. All right, Nick. See you tomorrow. Maybe you may see us tomorrow. So make sure you join our Substack at the end of this. I'm gonna, or actually I can just shout it out now. We're at the end of the show. So here's our Substack. If you want to know if and when Nick and I go live tomorrow, because we don't know yet. Join our Substack or any future live stream or anything else. Join our Substack so that you can get a notification sent directly to your email. The other thing is we're going to be sending out the Discord link probably tomorrow. So join our Substack so that you get the Discord link if you join our Substack, and then it's sent through Substack directly to you. If you're a part of our Patreon, which is scrolling at the bottom there, you also will get an email sent through Patreon for that. So like the stream on your way out. And this is a classic video that we've played in the past more frequently. I think I'm going to start playing it again. But back in the 60s or 50s, I think, maybe the 40s, 60s, this video, the white people at that time said it was no racism going on. I think they have equal rights, just like what they're saying. Some are saying, not our comrades that know, some are saying today. So here is that video.
Mrs. J.D. Milam, and I think this is the most ridiculous thing that has ever happened. The Negroes are just as free as we are. They have the same opportunity to work and to build their part of the town up just the same as we have. I just don't understand it and don't approve of it. I'm going to stand up for my rights.
Thank you very much. Jim Knight with WALB Television News. We're soliciting the views of Albany people on the Civil Rights Bill. Would you like to give us your views?
Well, I think if they remain peaceful, it would be a lot better than perhaps the violence that would be concerned. Well, of course, being a Southerner, I'm not for it at all.
I see.
And I just don't know how it's going to turn out. I hope we don't have any trouble.
We're soliciting opinions on the Civil Rights Bill. Would you like to give us yours?
I'm sorry, but I don't think it's the time right now. I think they have equal rights, though.
Thank you very much. Would you like to express your views?
No, I don't think so.
How about you?
Nope.
What I'd have to say wouldn't be fit to go on air.
Thank you very much.
I don't like it. I think you're just trying to put something on us that we don't want.
I see.
We ought to have a national election on it rather than just letting 9 men tell us what we got to do.
And how about you?
I feel the same.
Fine. Thank you very much.
I sure don't like it, that's for sure.
I see. Do you feel this will have any effect on your life directly?
I imagine it will.
Thank you very much.
I'm afraid we might have neighbors to live next door to us.
Thank you.